Shalom, Berukim Habaim, Le'arutz Shel Mikael, Vayomer Mikael, Irashmu Ben Easif El Avotai, Beli Manuim. Hello and welcome to Michael's channel. And Michael has said unto us, register to my channel or I will die without any subscribers.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's my praise imitation. Thank you.
So I just want to say Shazam.
I had to do a praise impersonation. I love the way he starts his live streams.
Oh yeah, he does start with those. Anyway, we are live with Saturday Night at the Atheist, and we don't know what the hell we're going to talk about tonight. We have zero idea. You got me in Twitter DMs? No, I don't. John, I do not have you, but I think I'm going to post the link. And, well, let's see. Twitter DMs. How the hell do I find you? I'm going to throw the link out. That'll work. Hang on a second. John Peterson is in chat. I have no idea what I'm doing. I haven't had enough coffee yet. Just woke up. This could be.
I thought we had some Maddox video or something.
We did that today, kind of. So somebody disappeared. Scott disappeared. Okay, there it is. Yes. Yeah, we're probably going to end up filling up tonight, I think, because I invited a few people. I wanted to do an intervention on Erica Gutsick Gibbon because she keeps listening to Standing for Truth. I'm afraid that she's going to go down that, sad avenue of drinking and, no return. I'm concerned about her.
Okay, Leo, you promised me you suggested that you would tell this story about, that after show you did, and then you said Otangelo revealed something.
Yeah, we got it here.
After you did, and then you said Otangelo.
Somebody's echoing. Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay, on echo now.
I hadn't closed the window out yet that had the stream.
Oh, okay.
That's John Peterson. He's from a different channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, God, I can't remember, Scott, what I was talking about.
Is that my fault? I'm sorry.
So, Otangelo, what did he reveal? He just broke up with me again on email.
That was Leo. Leo said something that
we have to wait for Nathan to get here because he saw everything too, and I'm not. I don't want people.
Oh no, that was Leo. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling you Teasophilius because you keep teasing me.
So what about the president?
Hi, John.
What did you think about the president getting the COVID?
Karma, baby.
It is what it is.
I don't want to say I'm afraid of the Secret Service, the SS. So I don't really want to explain my feelings and how exactly I felt about it. But let's say there was a lot of fucking happy dancing.
Can anyone do a Trump impersonation? There's this meme running around saying that Trump doesn't actually have COVID-19. He has COVID-20, which is the best COVID. It's like the COVID you could possibly have.
If he does overcome this, he's gonna have a rally. I'm telling you guys right now, COVID-19 the way I overcame it was tremendous. Nobody overcomes COVID like I do. It was nothing. I felt fine.
Well, as soon as I heard about it, I went public and gave my condolences to COVID-19. I think COVID is going through something. The other thing I want to point out that might be a little controversial, and I don't want to hurt your channel any, but the way I see it is COVID-19 has a chance of accomplishing what the CIA should have done a long time ago.
These are the things that I'm afraid to even say on my phone because I don't know what the hell kind of country we live in anymore. I really don't know what kind of a country we live in anymore.
I mean, the funny thing is, if Echelon picked up that joke and they didn't figure out that was just a fucking throwaway joke, then they got to be idiots, Well,
I think they probably would have scooped me and my friend up a long time ago if if they were listening.
Someone gave a super chat on Godless Engineers stream saying that Trump has taken the first step for making America great again.
Yeah.
I gotta put myself at the bottom here. I think I'm gonna.
I don't even see that.
Your OCD bothering you or what?
What, me?
Yeah. No, I guess not.
I wonder why I don't see that super chat.
My OCD
No,
is
it was on, I think, what'd you say, Godless Engineers stream?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that you said Godless Engineers.
I was going to say,
super chat.
I was going to ask Speed, when the fuck did you start getting the ability to get super chats?
Oh, yeah, I don't yet.
By the way, I found a new channel that I did not know of called Godless Granny.
Yeah, she's debating tonight, right now.
Wonderful.
She's
Wow.
beautiful. She's awesome. She's debating
really
hello
is.
Impunable. She's debating
Impunable
Joshua
Destiny.
from Vietnam is his name on are men and women equal in the Bible, and she's obviously I'm not watching anymore because I'm here, but what I did see, she was kicking his ass, man.
Will you tell us where that is? Can you tell us
It's a
where
modern day debate.
Where else do most debates happen on YouTube? Modern day debate.
Yeah. Or
So, Godless Granny, she is one of my favorite new content creator. You got to go over and check her channel out.
Mhm.
Her prepared videos.
Yeah, I was watching the video earlier that she made on a collab with, I think, Vice Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I discovered her channel. She's really, really cool. I'm in love. I'm truly in love.
And she's just so damn well spoken.
Mm-hmm. And
You
she's
gotta have
charming and lovely. And she gave regards to her. She gave regards to her aunt or something in the middle of a video. She's hilarious.
So, Speed.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Based off of the thumbnail, so this was going to be about John Maddox, or
No, we did that earlier today, but we just we always like to give a shout out to our favorite people, Nicholas and John. Yeah, because Nicholas gave us this amazing new name, CreepOfSoundOfDepravity, and his merry band of demonic hyenas.
well, I mean, the funny thing is when people like that badmouth you, you know you're doing something right.
Exactly.
I like to get judged from a person that went to jail. I just find that to be
So wait, who's the one that went to jail?
something about that to be precious.
Whittlesmeyer.
He actually
Whittlesmeyer, yeah.
he's been to jail.
Apparently.
I
Oh
guess so.
my god.
Well, that's where he got.
Well,
Okay.
well, here I'm going to give you some blowback against that. That is a hasty generalization fallacy. I was in jail. I was in prison.
Yeah.
I know many fine people that have been in prison. You shouldn't necessarily think that a person is bad just because they've been to prison.
So
No,
what,
we were.
Oh, no.
what's the
I'm not
story
saying
about
person's
him
bad. I've known
having been in jail? I got to know the backstory on that.
No, we were more
Uh,
concerned. We were more concerned with how he got Jesus in jail, and whether or not it was during the shower scene or not.
Well, right. I mean, and there's a little bit.
that allowed him to be cleansed by the Holy Spirit.
Well, no, see, there's a little bit of confusion about that. What it was is that he got ass raped by a guy named Jesus in jail.
Jesus.
Well,
yeah,
there
but
we go.
that's what I was
After you
saying. The
go.
shower scene. You know, it was the
Yeah,
shower scene.
the Holy Spirit came in him or something.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit came. And
That's
it
the
was
short
like,
version.
praise Jesus.
Dude, you bring that up. I got to tell you, that was, to me, that's like one of the funniest episodes of South Park, where fucking Cartman starts the Christian music band.
Yes.
And then he's just changing all the lyrics, to like, Jesus came all over it and stuff like that.
I fucking love that episode.
Hey, a new episode of South Park just came out, a new season, and they're hitting all the 2020 notes. They were doing the whole COVID thing, and
Oh, the new season started. Holy shit.
Playing to how
yeah.
everybody thought that they were going to use the fucking military to enforce mask laws and everything. Typical South Park stuff.
I watched half of it, and it's pretty good so
Yeah,
far.
it
It's awesome.
I like where that show's come. especially with Integrity Farms.
Yeah,
Integrity Farms.
Integrity.
Integrity Farms is having a pandemic special.
I was listening to an agriculture ad on the radio a couple days ago, and I was running some errands, and it said only one word matters in agriculture, and in my head I'm like, integrity. And it was the actual word apparently was yield, and I'm like, no, it's integrity.
Yeah, you kind of fooled me with that thumbnail, Speed. I thought you guys were going to be talking about morality.
Literally.
I mean, I think the whole meta thing has been covered to death. It's just that.
Well, actually, I do want to talk about something.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Okay, they've been throwing around this word reprobate, and I grew up in a small town with like 3 churches, and all my life I'd never heard the word reprobate until Smokey and these guys.
Manny, are you rolling a joint?
Yeah, he is. Started to talk about.
You go like this.
No, that's not a joint. I'm rolling a cigarette.
Speed, you really need me here with Leo.
This is normal.
I know.
Tobacco.
Hey, Leo.
I'm sorry.
Let's pretend we're on my channel and
let's
finish this thought.
Let's make this clear.
I have to give John. John, can I give you mute control over Leo?
Just give him the leash now.
So thing is this: it's not that I don't smoke pot, but in Israel for like the last 5-6 years, cigarettes have become so expensive that everyone simply buys shag tobacco and rolls their own cigarettes. Otherwise, it's completely unaffordable. You have to be like,
I am sorry for jumping out. That's
okay. John says you two shut the fuck up.
I still need to know about this backstory about Nicholas going to jail. Nobody even told
fine,
me.
We'll get to that, but he was in the middle of saying something and you jumped right all over his ass. So go ahead, Speed.
So anyway, so
I know good people that go to jail, but
shut the fuck up, impugnable destiny.
Oh, really? Come on. You wanna do this on stream?
Yeah, we can do this on stream. You want to go nose to nose with me, motherfucker?
All right, we can do that.
Yeah, let's have it all up. How many times did you wake me up today with your fucking phone call?
How many times have I told you to get a fucking new sleep schedule?
And then he's like, he calls me and then he's like walking and I can't hear a fucking thing he's saying, and I'm like,
that's why you respond to me. Fucking liar.
Oh, so are you saying that he did it? Oh, I thought you booted Immutable for a second. Immutable gave you a Dragnot call?
A Dragnot call? Yeah, exactly. A Dragnot call. That's fucking. He does it. He does it a couple times a day. It's like, I want to talk, but I can't fucking hear you. So it's like,
my fucking
all right,
God.
So finish your point about
you're walking or you're in the car or you're going through fucking drive-through and I hear your McDonald's order.
Okay? I can't just be on the computer all day.
Okay, no, we shouldn't air our issues on a live stream on Saturday.
Oh, you wanted to go toe to toe.
Well,
be right back.
I'm backing down.
So are you going to finish your thing about reprobate so that Immutable can fill me in on how Nicholas Whitlismer went to jail?
Yes, I want to do the thing. Okay, so anyway, well, it's kind of boring, but Smokey.
It basically says somewhere in the New Testament that God gives people over to a reprobate mind, which means that you are now. He makes you sin. You started sinning,
right?
You lost faith, and now He will make you sin. For instance, that's why I'm gay. I'm gay because God has given me over to a reprobate mind.
So you're a reprobate. That's kind of what Smokey was saying, is that Jesus started telling parables instead of facts, instead of like lectures, because he didn't want the reprobates to get saved, or he didn't want them to come to God. So he started using parables because reprobates are too dumb to understand the parables, and he was going on about that. And anyway, I only listened to like 15 minutes of Smokey's or Stinky's stream. I don't want to call him Smokey. I don't want to insult him. But I only listened to 15 minutes of it, and I think where he was going is that all of us atheists are reprobates, is basically.
Yeah, that is what we are.
You went a whole 15 minutes listening to Smokey talk?
Well, yeah. Well, I was falling asleep. I was trying to hear what he was reading scripture, and he was explaining this whole reprobate thing, and I really wanted to know. I got on the stream last night and I asked questions in chat, and nobody would tell me. And now I know why they wouldn't tell me, because I'm a reprobate. And if they told me, right, so it all makes sense.
Unprincipled person.
An unprincipled person, and
Or
like
a sinner who is not of the elect, and is predestined to damnation.
The whole elect conversation.
We blaspheme upon God, I think.
Okay, so when are we going to get learning about
elect?
how
That
Nicholas
means you're not chosen to follow God, like the Calvinist thing, and you are predestined to sin. That's what it basically means.
Okay, what do you want to know, Leo?
I want to know how Nicholas Whitmer went to jail, and if this is believable information, because I am kind of having a hard time believing that.
Are we gonna do anything that's going to dox him right now?
I don't really give a shit. His name is already out there.
Well, it is, as long as we're not doing anything untoward. We would never do that on Saturday Night at the Atheist.
Let's put it this way, Michael. It's public record if it's been through the courts.
Okay.
But technically, there's no reason. There is no way we can dox it.
Well, it's like Joel. I found his resume because I know somebody. That you can.
This isn't about Joel. This is about Nicholas and going to jail. Let's
go ahead. I digress. Who wants to tell us?
I'm assuming immutable. I don't know the story.
I don't know how Joel went to jail. I just heard him say
not Joel. Nicholas.
I don't know how Nicholas went to jail. He never told us.
Oh. No, he just said he did.
Well, generally the way it happens is cops arrest you, you get tried, and then you end up in jail. That's how he went.
Right.
So no, but you know what? Now I'm gonna have to Google that name and see what I can find.
I mean, he could have just gone to jail for one night for just driving drunk. I don't know.
When I was 16, I went to jail voluntarily because I was so drunk that I didn't understand what was going on when it started raining. All I knew is that things felt funny on my skin, and I knew that if I drove home, it was going to be a problem. So I walked into the jail and I said, "Do you got a room?" And they said, "Yep." And they put me in a cell.
Now, while I'm loath to, back up one of Jill's erroneous claims, of which there are many, because he accused me the other day of my only contribution being to streams is commenting on live chat comments. But I just have to mention this comment because it just made me laugh so hard. Standing for Truth is in the chat, and he says that Leo Phileas and I should have a respectful discussion one of these days on human evolution. Standing for Truth, you are not ready for Leo Phileas.
No.
You aren't anywhere on a plane with Leo Phileas, except for you that you're both human beings.
Hey, you little.
I mean, I hate to say this, and I know I've said it to you before in live chats. You do not know anything about what it is you talk about all the time in those debates, dude. And if you got together with Leo Phileas, you would just be a puddle by the time it was over.
I don't know what he wants to talk about human evolution. It's so thoroughly established that anybody denying it is on an intellectual level of a flat earther.
I got a message for that little weenie.
One second, Vesta. I want to respond to this. Vesta, the reason I'm gay apparently is because I chose to be
straight.
That is apparently the reason. I got up one day.
I like dick.
And said, "Oh, I'm gonna be gay now."
You know what?
And
it's a good fine morning to like penis. Yeah.
Wow,
Leo,
that dick looks really attractive.
Hey,
well, look, if the definition of being gay was that you liked penis, then every man would be gay because every man likes his own penis.
I love my penis. I love my penis.
I am gay for Amelia Clark.
So, Leo, you have Asperger's, right?
Yes.
Is that genetically predetermined for sure? Is that hardwired?
I don't know. I know it's genetic. I don't know when and where it and how it arose, but
wonderful. So if it's not 100% genetic and it's affected by environment, could you please not go through conversion therapy and become non-autistic?
No, that's not going to happen.
Oh.
Well, I have to address this real quick. So I think a hominin is when two words sound the same, but they're different?
Yeah.
No, that he's relating. You're trolling. I picked that up, but I picked it up.
Chopped up corn that they feed in
Standing for truth. It's not about what I know about.
It's what
about
you know.
evolution. It's what you know about evolution.
Hey, I got a message for that little weenie out in chat, standing for Stanley, my son, Stanley. I am his father. I don't know if you guys knew that. His biological father, but he won't admit it. When the fuck are you coming on my channel to talk about this whole created heterozygosity business? I
was wondering if we were going to have a conversation on genetics.
And Walker wants to talk to you about Neanderthals. Neanderthal Jensen, too.
Could someone please explain something to me? How is saying Adam and Eve were created heterozygous a prediction?
Well,
how does that constitute a prediction?
They call them retrodictions, and they think they count. You know, if you can make up a story about the past.
So the thing is, right? If you read the Bible, what you're forced to conclude is that it's at least possible that Adam is heterozygous, but Eve, by definition, is homozygous.
Australopithecine.
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 Which Australopithecine are a transitional species. Well, not really a species,
this
but
is very illustrative of standing for truth's, ballywick. Is he reads stuff and he learns how to say it, and then he throws a bunch of words together and a bunch of nonsense, and he thinks he's saying something.
Yeah, kind of like John Maddox.
Right. Here's the thing. I'm not an expert in that, but neither is standing for truth just because he can say a bunch of words together, okay? People that don't accept the theory of evolution just aren't very smart. I'm sorry.
No.
So if we're going to go with genetics, I kind of wonder, does Standing know what the basic elements for what the basic requirements are for a gene to be activated and expressed?
Hey, John Anthony's here. In the chat, anyway.
We got to have that or that created heterozygosity. I call it created zygosity talk.
I'm not even going to try to do what Standing is doing to us because I already know he's not going to be able to answer a single motherfucking question I ask him, even if I go super basic.
Well, he's probably sitting there right next to his computer. He could even Google it,
Yeah, but is he going to understand it?
No.
Anybody can Google certain things, but it comes down to whether you understand it.
I loved it that when I was debating shame that I am, shame that he is, whatever. I started asking him questions like, do you actually know what you're talking about? So, no, they don't know what they're talking about, to the point where he explained to me that percentiles always stand for probability, that's what he said. Percentile is in math. It's always probability, which is complete nonsense. He has no idea what variance or explained variance means. He repeated quotes, and when I said, dumb it down for me, explain what you just read, he could not do it because he has no idea what he's saying. He's just ba 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 ba. Like,
well, right, and see, and that's another reason, Standing, for why I don't have to be an expert to know that you know nothing about what you talk about, because I have good friends like Immutable, Leo Filius, and my new good friend whose name I can't read on the screen because I'm an old man with bad eyes, but whoever the man in the middle is there. Whoever's playing the part of Alice the Maid today.
Actually, Standing, I do want you to come in for this, because you raised an interesting point that needs to be clarified.
Who? Standing?
Standing.
Oh, what does he say? I don't. Okay,
I
what's the
don't play
point?
evolutionist tests, and you guys shouldn't play creationist tests. Standing, that's not the point of the question I asked you particularly.
No.
The point being illustrated is that if you're going to talk about genetics and your thesis and John and Dr. Sanford's thesis of genetic entropy, there's very, very basic points, like freshman and sophomore level biology points, that you should be aware of before trying to make these arguments. Because the way you talk gives me an idea of how educated you are. And that's not an insult. It's just a consequence of dealing with people in education. And when people are asking, like, why they got something wrong on the test, or why it is they can't understand a specific concept, it comes down to the way they're visualizing the concept, or their level of information regarding it is not strong enough.
Speed, can you share the last comment that it's a little bit up there that's standing through at me? It starts out with, John, you're not on my level, bud.
Come back to me in 10 years when you finish the book.
So here's what he left a minute or two ago, and then a little further down, he says that all I got for him is insults. But I didn't insult you, okay? I was telling the truth.
Telling the truth,
what you said, though, was an insult.
No, it's not.
Finish your book, okay? What's that?
It's not an insult, Standing. You legitimately don't know genetics.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention is he always mentions genetic entropy, but if I asked him the SI unit for entropy, he probably couldn't tell me what that is.
Hell, I'd have to look it up to tell you, actually, for a moment.
Joules per Kelvin.
When I asked Standing how twin studies work, because he was talking about twin studies, he has no idea what a twin study is. When I asked him, how do you determine, like you want to test someone's genetics, what do you correlate it with? And all he could go was genetics. It's like, I cannot debate science with someone who doesn't know science. How are we going to debate anything? It's completely, I can't find the word in English, but in Hebrew we call it a deaf talk. It's like two deaf people trying to converse.
It's like talking to a brick wall.
So what the hell was that movie? The blind one, and the one was blind, one was deaf. Richard Pryor and
exactly.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
That was one of my favorite things.
I think this guy is talking of somebody else. Standing says, "Get the fuck out of here."
I don't think so.
No.
In Hebrew, we have a word name for it. I'm sure it's not the English name.
Hi there, Ben. I just got your email.
Did you send an invite to the stream to John, Anthony?
I put an invite in the stream. I put the link in there, John. So you can join in if you want.
So, I've seen quite a few of Standing's debates. I don't know how many you guys have seen, but those
I have to understand the general gist of what he's capable of and what he's not.
I have to admit, I don't think I've ever watched one of Standing's debates. Maybe the first time I watched it all the way through, because I can only take it for so long. But in my mind, like, he could just go on these debates and press play on a tape recorder.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think he's actually acquired very much new information since he started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some emails from Otangelo. He was on our stream today, and he said, "You are just a low-life slanderer and blaspheme dirty mouth."
Oh, slander! When did we slander him?
Going to remove you.
Educated isn't a slander. It's a matter of fact, Angelo, and you admitted to that.
John, mute this motherfucker.
No, I'm
okay. Let me finish. Going to remove you from the mailing list, and I said, "Ha ha. Thanks. Too bad you do not have the courage to read and digest and respond to my latest argument, which was rather well done." And he said to me, "You are not worth my time anymore. Blocking you now."
It's funny when you brought him up. I was about to say,
he'll be back. He needs to be heard.
You what?
What?
I said he'll be back. He has this need to be heard, I think.
I know.
Yeah, definitely.
What were you going to say, John?
Well, yeah. Well, now I want to ask you, Speed, where you found all these people that only like half sentences.
Oh, you mean these guys? These motherfuckers?
No, but I was about to say, when you first mentioned Otangelo, I enjoyed talking to him the other day on our stream. He didn't. I've heard how crazy he is, but he seemed kind of okay in that stream. And then you read that fucking email he sent you, and I'm going, holy shit, maybe
he is really pissed at me. I think because like he sent an email, the email where he broke up with me originally, you know, because we were dating, and where he broke up with me, and basically it was like this big long email, and it essentially said that I didn't agree with him, and that's why because I said information was physical, and I wouldn't say that it was immaterial. So he said he was blocking me, he was done with me, he was through with me. So, and then he started trying to date my buddy Molecular Alchemy, which really hurt my feelings even more. So I sent him flowers.
Information was immaterial.
What's that? Yeah,
all of them think that.
Yeah, I believe information is purely physical, and they were trying to do this immaterial bullshit. And
well, right. I mean, because they people like Otangelo. I mean, because what I would say is that all information is emergent from the physical.
Yeah,
you know, every thought you have comes from your brain. Information comes from human brains, and they have this idea, generally speaking, that all these concepts exist out there in the universe independent of us, and that's just not the case. You know, it's not like morality. If you went across the universe, that morality would be there in some form. Morality is a concept of the mind, of the human mind. I mean, they think that there's these objective morals in the universe, or that God provides us, and
right.
The same with logic and everything like that. Don't worry. But there was something I wanted to comment on standing for truth, because earlier today, I think it was, he had a Dr. Rob Stadler on, who has a PhD in medical engineering, and they were talking about abiogenesis.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
This guy has no degrees in molecular biology, evolutionary biology, biochemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, genetics, biology, immunobiology, nothing that would relate to the field of abiogenesis. Yet you're talking to him. And this is what they do. They look for people that agree with them, that have some form of credential they think they can run to show that, see, this person knows what they're talking about. It's like, no, this is really just one big ass argument from authority.
Hey, is this that dude from YouTube that feeds the raccoons on his back porch all the time?
Yeah, man.
Is that me? Oh, I'm famous for that.
It's the cult of the raccoons.
I mean, I study fucking genetics like 24/7, and I'm famous for my raccoons.
Yep.
That's a kick in the ass, man.
Well, wait a minute.
Man.
So you have another channel? You're the guy that has that channel, goes out there on the porch and sits with the raccoons and feeds them?
No.
Oh, all right.
No, that would be me.
So, as regards information, there are, in different sciences, in different concepts, there are various ways of defining information. Like I guess Leo could tell us how physics defines information, which has to do with resolving entropy. But basically, show me how information can be either stored or communicated without anything physical. Fine, I'll buy into it. As long as
my conception of information lies more to the physics aspect, but also to the mathematics.
Well, I have been recently convinced, basically, that information is a description of what is transferred, basically. But there are cases where it is purely physical.
Quantum mechanics describes information. Well, provides a description of chemical information. Quantum mechanics itself isn't necessarily physical.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, quantum mechanics isn't necessarily physical. It provides a physical description for quantum motion, though.
I would state that it is physical, but not necessarily material. The distinction being that material is made of matter, but physical is existing within the natural world, or describing it.
Material is a little spooky, anyway. I don't think we should use the word.
A quantum field
but if
is
you're
not a material thing, you can't touch it.
Look, physical. I'm nowhere near you guys' level on like science. I mean, the only reason I know stuff about science is because of guys like you and having conversations with you. But like,
I'm right up there with you. I mean, I studied psychology.
Okay. Let me finish my thought though, and then you can comment on how.
John likes to finish complete sentences.
Yeah. But so, and this is how my feeble mind, science-wise thinks of it, is that, when you say something like quantum mechanics, chemical information or whatever it was you said, I'm thinking to myself that, well, yeah, but the only reason that gets construed as information is because of how human minds perceive it and how human minds make up the jargon or the language of how we're going to describe it and talk about it. If human minds didn't exist, then those chemical reactions you're talking about, or those quantum mechanic reactions that you're talking about, they wouldn't be information unless human minds had come along to say, yes, this is a form of information.
Okay, and I have a different. I see information as the basis of what the universe is. That there is a difference if you move in space, you have space-time coordinates, and if you move from one coordinate to another, there is a difference in the field. And if the field differs, that difference between that description of the differences of all the fields that make up the universe are pure information. And so I see it as basically you got stuff here and you got not stuff here. So you have stuff and stuff not. So I see information as being integral to the thing is, we can describe like an electron. That's a description of something, but there are electrons all over the fucking place. And where the electrons are is really important. So space is really important. And in a lot of ways, I mean, there are different ways you can look at it other than a coordinate system like graph paper, but information is basically the structure of the universe, that sort of thing. And that's why I say it's physical. And then a human can come along and stand aside and have a description of that. Like I can tell you this shit is at XY or whatever, and this shit's at XY. And so I can have a description. And the problem is we mistake our descriptions of things for the thing in itself.
Yeah.
And I push back on that.
And that's why. And that's why in physics, like one of the more important concepts, like if you deal with like kinematic motion or stuff like that, it turns out to be a fuck of a lot easier to deal with, like to study things in terms of like energy instead of like their velocity or things like that. So it's easier to represent like the trajectory or path of the particle by things like kinetic energy and potential energy. Because if you could calculate and study like how those things change, then you can relate to the physical quantities.
Best has always got a good one.
Did John go away?
Oh shit!
No,
we just can't see him. He's got his.
So
I got my dunce avatar up. I thought it was fitting.
Awesome.
Okay, so John, the dunce cap, yeah. So from a layperson to a layperson, basically think of it this. Try and think of something like this. If you toss a coin, you need the information to actually say what's it gonna come out. So it contains 2 units of information, like what you need to answer the question of how it's gonna come up. If you roll a die, there's more information because you have 6 options of how it might come up. So like that's more information.
Okay, but what do you think before mines came about that there was coins around to flip and dice to throw?
So that's
do you think in any other context that this cell phone could literally have come into existence by random chemical reactions?
Well,
I'm trying to
there's
channel.
a lot of Christians that think that.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's like I'll give you an analogy, and that can prove or disprove anything. Just with analogies, yes. Who needs experiments? Who needs the scientific method? Go by analogies, and life will sort itself out.
Right. Yeah, that clock over there didn't make itself, so somebody must have made us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't need any proof of any kind of intelligent agent ever existing without a body and a brain. We just need to say, we need one, so there is one.
All right.
Well, and the other thing is too is always amazes me how quick, and not all Christians, but Christians like Standing for Truth that was just here, are so ready to rule out evolution just out of hand when they worship what they call is an all-powerful being. Well, wait a minute. Couldn't your all-powerful being have utilized the process of evolution to, create life? I mean, if he's all-powerful, he could have done it any way he wanted, so.
Yeah, that's always been my point to if they just want to stop this bullshit with the pseudoscience, I mean, just accept that God threw the dice with the original universe and life happened, and he's smart enough that he made it happen with just a few natural laws. But no, they got to fuck with science.
Exactly. I agree with.
Go ahead.
Am I talking to someone?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go
So to take what Speed said, and I swear I came up with this myself before hearing it from other people, let's say there is a God or divine or creator or whatever, which sounds more intelligent or more powerful? The one that actually had to, think of two engineers. One has to design each and every tiny piece of his creation, and the other one just puts a dot in place and boom, everything happens. I think the second one is way cooler. It's
I know.
impressive God.
Well, a really good poetic God would have done it that way. Would have done it with the Big Bang, basically, and an asshole God would have tinkered with every step. It's like, oh, this isn't quite right. I got to move this. I gotta use my little fingers to make some DNA.
Exactly.
Shortly after my heart stopped beating, within moments of my heart having stopped beating, the electrical impulses in my brain will cease, and I will be no more. And then eventually, our sun will go supernova and disintegrate the Earth, and I will return to whence I came as stardust. And to me, that's more poetic than any religious story out there.
Yeah,
Just
that's
a quick correction. The sun is not large enough to go supernova. It will go red giant, and then its outer layers will just fall away, and what will be left is the hot carbon oxygen core. So the sun will literally become most literally a diamond in the sky.
Yep.
Which is also poetic.
What's that one phrase that Peter repeats in that one episode? Something and pedantic. That's something and pedantic.
Shallow and pedantic.
Shallow and
pedantic.
Shallow and pedantic. Don't ever go to a poetry
and
contest with me. I don't want to hear your views.
Shallow and pedantic remarks.
Leo Filius is our pedantic police, right?
Yeah, just to come up with something to ruin the poetry.
If you ever want to piss a dumb person off in a live chat, just call them a pedant, because you know what they think you're saying.
Yeah.
That was your day today.
Oh my God.
Shallow and pedantic.
Speed of pedant pudding.
So I just came up with something. We were talking about created heterozygosity before, right?
Created zygosity,
Where you
I
had
like to
this
call it.
thing
Yeah.
that Adam and Eve were created with heterozygosity.
Yep.
Yep.
Don't make me get my iPad out. Go ahead. Oh, you froze many.
Oh dear.
This is
He's from clear across the country or the globe, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Every time he freezes, my first thought is that Trump nuked the Middle East.
But so does that phrase that Standing repeats over and over again, does it actually have any meaning as far as
No, it doesn't.
No, it just doesn't work mathematically with their 6,000 year bullshit, and it's they thought of this crazy ass idea so that they could explain what we see in genetics today. And so it's just exactly like if I were to explain everything by telling you the entire universe was created last Thursday, just the way it was on last Thursday. I mean, that's all they're doing. They're doing just those stories, and they do it continually. It drives me up a wall.
Well, and not even that, but like you talk about the creation of everything 6,000 years ago, then you have to deal with the problem of 4,500 years ago. Everything was wiped out except one ship with beings on it, and then we came to the diversity of life that we have now 45 years later. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it doesn't work mathematically.
So for those that aren't like really scientific, what heterozygosity means, it means that in your genome, which essentially is the blueprint book for what makes you you.
Don't say blueprint, please. Don't do that on my channel.
Don't say blueprint.
Not on my channel, immutable.
Essentially, it's all the set of information that's required to make you you. And your DNA has two different strands, and if they're different, they're called heterozygotes. But if they're the same, they're called homozygotes. What Standing is referring to when he's talking about heterozygosity is he's talking about how genes, so these components that specify proteins, what their composition is. He's referring to like how many nucleotides compose a specific gene. And he's calling that heterozygosity.
Yeah.
Well, see, and I'm glad you explained that, because I thought that like heterozygosity meant that boys zygosities like boys girls zygosities and girls zygosities like boy zygosities.
Okay, so can I try a heterozygosity joke?
Oh yeah, sure. Minnie, you were trying to say something before you went south on us?
Yeah, I was just wondering before, like, Adam and Eve were created according to their insane ideas with all the genetic potential, but everyone was destroyed in the flood, right?
Right.
So funny you mentioned that. We were talking about that while you were gone.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, there you go.
So they were down to 6, but okay. So Eve was made from Adam's rib, which would have had the same DNA, but so God had to take Eve and stuff a little bit of DNA in her before he gave her to Adam.
So according to
that's not possible, actually, because it says particularly in the text that Eve was formed from the ribs of Adam.
Yes.
So she would have had the exact same DNA as Adam did.
Yeah, but who knows what?
Effectively,
who knows
what we have now?
Okay, God took her and had His way with her, and then gave her back, and that's why
God doesn't have DNA.
So according to Godless Granny, Eve would be the first transgender because she was taken from a man's rib and then turned into a female.
Well, God has to have DNA because He got Mary pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
Did he though? Really? Wasn't it an angel? Wait a minute. Wasn't it actually an angel with a turkey baster?
Can I just have you spread just a little bit? Let me just kind of. All right, we're done.
John,
you should have the angel that just came out after having a round with Mary and saying, "Hey, bro, kind of got your chick nailed. God's telling you you're going to have a son named Jesus. You don't want to question the big man upstairs."
John, to try and listen to praise Saint
preventing evil from lying.
Oh no!
What?
Praise the average moment where he tries to say the word semen, and he goes like, "So if we took a homosexual's,
oh yeah, praise! Oh my God!
Well, it's called semen. Ew."
Yeah, we're gonna cover that tomorrow.
What's this now? Wait a minute, I'm not following this. That's something Praise said.
Yes, we're going to cover it. We're covering it tomorrow.
You can call it seed. You can call it all sorts of different crap.
Okay, so Praise and Manny had a debate on my channel, what a week ago or so, and then Praise went and did an after show, and he's got some wonderful. I hope you have that bookmarked. The whole. That was where he did the whole gay semen thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's amazing. You have to listen to that argument.
Well, and then when after he talked about gay semen, did he break into song and start singing "In the Navy"?
Oh my
Did
god.
anybody begin saluting the troops?
So wait, about we talked about heterozygosity and tried to explain what that was.
Yeah.
So there's this nice joke where an African chief has his wife has a white baby, an albino baby, and he thinks, how could I possibly have a white child? And then he goes, oh, the missionary. And he runs to the mission and he grabs the missionary and he says, did you touch my wife? And he says, no, why do you think that? Well, I have a kid. He was born completely white. And he says, no. You have to understand that that's not what it is. There's like mutations and recessive genes. And the chief looks at him and says, huh? And he says, well, you know how you have like white, your sheep are white, but sometimes you have a black sheep? And then the chief goes, oh, okay, I won't tell if you won't tell.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Terrible.
Holy shit.
Oh, that's great.
That's horrible.
No, that's great.
Creationist genetics.
Oh, I'm choking now.
Well, it's not as bad as if you have two cows made in front of a striped stick, it'll produce a striped fucking cow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know sticks could be striped.
Stick straight. Yes,
But
they
hold
can. Yes.
Wait a minute. I kind of want to go back and talk about Praise's love of bukkake.
Oh, Nephilim's love of
Do
coffee. He
you want to tell John that part in case he doesn't listen to us tomorrow?
Okay, so John, observe how we simply blow the whole idea of homosexuality being natural or genetic out of the water. Okay? So
This is
if you
brilliant.
took a gay man's man juice and put it in, and these are his real words, scientific setting, which I have no idea what scientific setting is supposed to mean, and then you put a woman's egg there. The sperm would go to the egg, proving that he's not really gay. And there you go.
What?
He literally,
Wow.
literally.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay.
So
Okay.
I have an example. I can disprove something from the Bible. The Bible says you shall not be unequally yoked, right? You're not supposed to marry an atheist. But if we took Praise's jizz in a scientific setting with the egg of an atheist woman, it would go to the egg.
Proves it, yeah.
That he
So,
is unequally yoked, and there goes his Christianity.
So does that mean like if two gay guys were doing their thing and giving each other some pleasure, and the one gay guy ejaculated into the other gay guy's ass, and then you dropped an egg in there from a woman, would the baby?
I don't know. That's
No.
interesting.
Yeah, shitty baby.
No.
No.
A
No,
shitty baby.
that wouldn't work.
No.
Because,
No, but if they were like,
keep
if
in
they
mind,
left-
I know. Okay, keep in mind, I know it wouldn't work, but keep in mind that when you make a baby, right, that semen doesn't get there till like 2 or 3 days after the fact.
Yes.
Oh, really? I
It
never
doesn't
knew that.
travel.
The egg implants in the side of the
So
fallopian
that's
tube. and
why
where
that's
sperm
why the
finds
day
it.
after pill works then, huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
there-
when you nut inside a girl, technically she will not get pregnant immediately. It's like a 2-3 weight limit before that happens.
Like if there were two gay guys and there were two pools on the floor after they were done, later on there would only be one pool,
Why?
right? Because
Yeah,
the
so there'll be one pool with two different.
well, because the gay
two different
sperm is going to go
teams.
after the gay sperm, right?
Okay, so
What are they going to do? Fuse with each other?
What's that?
I have to
What are
ask
they
you
gonna do?
guys.
Fuse with each other?
Your-
Yeah, exactly. They'd go after.
See, I
each
like
other.
what George Carlin said about it. He said,
Are the gay semen?
"Gay is it normal? Is it natural?" People always talk, "Is it normal or is it natural?" All
Wait,
right,
wait.
here's it. I mean,
Immutable.
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Shut the fuck
So
up.
is it normal? Is it natural? Well, all right. So you're in a dark room, you can't see anything, and you bump into another human being, and you start loving them, rubbing them up and down. And they start loving you and rubbing them up and down. And then from evolution, you're trained. If the lights go on, you're trained to go, ah! But the thing is, it felt okay, didn't it? So, I mean, the idea that people, I guess my point is, all right, this idea that Christians have that being homosexual is anathema. It's just so unnatural and everything. And it's just human beings being human beings and loving one another. And some people are born and they want a little bit of that, and other people are born and they want a little bit of that over there. Instead, I mean, that's all it is. It's like, and then they want to take it down to that if you're gay, you were made wrongly. They want to not even that you were made wrongly, that you're making the wrong choices. Instead of, because here's the thing, it's only as of recently that being in the LGBT community is becoming more widely acceptable. And before this, they still suffer from persecution, but they're persecuted greatly. Why would anybody choose that? Why would anybody choose that lifestyle? There's no question but that it is a natural thing.
Well, the other thing is, like, okay, did I cut you off? Did I?
No, I don't think he did. You did. I think he was done.
Okay, the thing is, when I was like 6 years old, and I had like teenage babysitters, I mean, I was lusting after them. I can't imagine how I could have like turned gay because of some cultural influence or any fucking thing. And the other thing is, isn't there? I mean, most of us are raised by two heterosexual parents, and yet there's a lot of gay people. So how the fuck does that work? Are they insinuating that my mom and dad somehow turned me gay? I don't know what the hell. If I'm
so, Michael, I can kind of answer that question because I am bisexual and I didn't realize that till like a year ago.
Really?
But looking back on that, there are times like where you're walking behind somebody and you're like, huh, well, that girl, that looks nice. Like she's got a firm ass or something like that. And then when you get in front of the person, you realize, huh, no, that's a really effeminate male. But it's still attractive though.
Okay.
Like you weren't in a culture. I don't think you were in a culture that had this kind of like phenomenon, like where males were allowed to be effeminate.
Oh hell yeah! Our English teacher was the most effeminate man I'd ever met, and I mean it was all over the place. It was.
But did he look like a female almost?
His mannerisms and his size and everything. I mean, he was totally effeminate.
Well, but here's the thing a little bit.
But there's a lot.
I'm not really following exactly what Immutable says because
no, I'm not either.
Here's the thing: is that not all male homosexual relationships are a twink and a bear, or like an effeminate and a masculine. I mean, masculine gay men can be attracted to masculine gay men. I mean, you could. Yeah. I mean, I understand that what you're saying is a thing too, but that's not the totality of.
So I can tell you that I have my partner. We've been together for like 3 years, and we're also like kind of it's sort of also a BDSM relationship. It's what we are. He's way more effeminate than I am. I'm much more masculine than him, but he's like the top and I'm the bottom, even though he's the effeminate one and I'm the masculine one. There are no rules for this.
Yeah.
No, there aren't.
Well, and like when I always hear not always, but I've heard before in my past that somebody will say, well, no, gay people, like I would never hang out with. Oh no, you know. And I always tell them, I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell you something right now. In the course of going through your life and going about your daily business, I guarantee you, there's gay people that you deal with on a daily basis, even some that you might call friends or associates, and you don't know that they're gay. Okay, I said because you can't. Not every gay man is a
gay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not all gay men are the type of gays I would call gay in your face type of gays.
Can I tell a story?
Oh boy.
When I was
Michael, we don't hear about the time on the baseball field when you and another guy had it out with each other.
Back in that day, you young whippersnappers, a quarter each.
When you say gay in your face, when you say gay in your face, gay, are you talking about bukkake again?
Gay in your face.
Not quite, but
I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
When I was 13 years old, my mom was trying to hide me from my dad so he wouldn't kill me. So she would send me to live with my brothers randomly. She, like one day I'd come downstairs, she'd say, pack your things, you're going to California. So I was sent to San Francisco, but she could not afford to send me there. So what she did is she answered a newspaper ad for a guy that wanted a partner to go to California with him, and she paid for half the gas. So he took me out across North Dakota and sightseeing. We stayed in Yellowstone. We had the greatest time. He took really great care of me. And then he brought me to San Francisco where I was supposed to meet my brother, and he dropped me off at the YMCA in San Francisco. And I was on the steps, and all these guys kept inviting me to their room, and like it was really kind of strange. I couldn't believe how friendly they were in San Francisco. And then it was like, it was about 5 years ago when I realized, holy shit, and I started thinking about him, and you could tell he was a little different. He was in fact, he was more interesting to me than most men that I had grown up with, and that was because he was gay, and I realized that 5 years ago.
How old were you
fucking
at
time.
time?
I was 13. But anyway, I called hang on a second. I got to finish. I called my brother he said, where are you? I said, I'm at the YMCA. He said, I'll be there in 3 minutes. And he comes screeching over because I was going to be adopted. I mean, they were trying to adopt. They were very, very polite with me and trying to adopt me, but I don't know. It was just pretty interesting. So, but it was probably, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. But then, San Francisco at that time was quite a community. So,
hey, is this guy that just joined us? Is he the one with the powerful semen?
Yes, that's him.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, my first stream. I broke my virginity with you guys.
Oh wow!
Oh, is it really?
I have a question.
You guys get better take the morning after pill in case I get you guys pregnant. All right?
Yes. Okay, because of his quantum.
Speed, I have a question. This guy you went out with. Now, ignore that this is a joker. Did he touch you here?
No.
Did he touch you here?
No, a little higher.
Did he pop you up and go?
No, it was a little higher than he touched me.
That's another South Park. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that man
Leo,
was.
As a psych major, I love you. I truly do.
And how about when somebody dug up was it Kenny's grandmother or something, and the fucking cops come, and they're like, yeah, sometimes people do that, and they have sex with the dead, and it's a lot better with the dead because there's more holes, and then he grabs a jar of mayonnaise and he's pumping his fists in the mayonnaise. It probably sounds something like this.
Did he bend you over like this, Speed? And
No, he didn't do that.
The one thing in South Park that made me laugh the most ever was when.
What episode? What season was? I got to watch that shit. I don't think
So Cartman comes running to the bus stop one day. He's like, "You guys! Oh, you're not gonna believe this, you guys! Last night, I had Butters stay over at my house, and when he fell asleep, I took a picture of his dick in my mouth. He is so gay."
And Cartman, that makes you gay. No, it doesn't. Yeah, you put another man's dick in your mouth, Cartman. That makes you gay.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
No, that dude that took me across country, he took care of me better than anybody had taken care of me, other than my mom, I guess, my entire life. So he was a great guy. I've been trying to find him and thank him, but he's probably about 90 now.
So he took care of you, huh?
He took care of me. Yeah. Well, come on, fuck you.
I'm not gay. Screw you
No.
guys. I'm going home.
He watched out for me, and he became one of the male figures in my life, I think, that were important to me.
Can I inform you guys of something?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just joined in because I got the fact that I got the gist that you guys were telling good jokes. So I've got a joke for you guys.
Oh.
So it's about a mate of mine. He's a quite a good doctor, and he told me this really interesting story. He said, and he's one of those cosmetic surgeons. So he said to me, one day he had this girl came and she had like massive tits, and she came into the room and said she wanted a breast reduction. And he said, "What? Are you sure?" Most of the time the girls that come, they want to enlarge their breast. He goes, "No, mine's too big. I play netball and my back kind of hurts all the time. I just want these puppies to be reduced." So he goes, "All right, we'll have to schedule you in for surgery." She goes, no, I want to be able to do it with no surgery. You know, there's complications with surgery, etc. So he goes, "There's no way you can reduce your breast without surgery." And then she said, "No, there must be a way, doctor. Is there something we can do?" And the doctor said, "Well, there's something we can do, but first we have to numb it." And so she goes, "Okay, let's do it." He goes, "Well, come over here." So as she walks over here, the doctor goes, "Num, num, 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 num."
I heard that same joke years ago, but instead of
it's an oldie and a goodie.
Instead of a cosmetic surgeon, it was a gynecologist.
Gynecologist. Okay. Well, I've got another story. The same doctor, right? So one time he's telling me another story. He said, there was this girl that kept on coming every 2 or 3 years and kept on wanting a facelift. And I don't know what it costs in America, but facelift's about $10,000 a pop in Australia, right? So and so one time she came and she said, "Look, this is costing me too much money. Is there a way I can get a facelift that lasts longer at an economic price?" And he goes, "Well, there is an experimental surgery we can do. We will surgically graft a knob at the back of your head, and anytime it's sag, you just twist it a couple of times, and voila, a facelift." She goes, "Okay, great." So she gets it done, and he doesn't see her for about 5 or 6 years. 5 or 6 years later, she comes in. She goes, Doctor, I've got a problem. I've got these bags under my eyes, and no matter how I twist it, it just won't go away." Doctor looks at it and goes, "Oh, I see the problem." She goes, "What is it? What is it?" He goes, "Those aren't bags. Those are your breasts." She goes, "I see. Well, that explains the beard then."
Wait, what was that last line?
Pardon?
The last line. I missed the last line.
I said, "Well, that explains the beard then."
Okay, so gay joke? Want to try some? How do you get 4 gay guys to sit on one chair?
Put a dick
Turn
on
it upside down.
Exactly. Flip it over.
Hey, so look, I'm a portly guy, but I used to be much, much bigger than I am now. And so I decided, to live longer, I was going to have to lose some weight, but I don't have any willpower. I just love shoveling food in my mouth. So I went to the doctor and I said, "Look, I need to do something about my weight, but I don't want to, have my stomach stapled, and I don't want to, wire my jaw or any of those other things. But is there anything you can do for me so I can lose some weight?" And so what he did is he transplanted my taste buds to my asshole. And the reason that worked is it's a natural hunger suppressant, because everything you eat winds up tasting like shit.
I saw the ending coming.
Talking about transplants, so same doctor again, right? He said he had this guy come in and said, "Look, I've just met this girl. She is super gorgeous. She's beautiful. I want to marry this girl, but I'm afraid because I've got a really small penis. Is there anything I can do to enlarge my penis?" So the doctor said, "Well, there is really one thing we can do. It's very experimental. It could be dangerous. You could lose your dick." He goes, "I'll do anything. I love this girl so much." So he goes, "Oh, well, okay. Well, what we do is we're going to transplant an elephant's trunk onto your dick, and thereby making your penis super large." And he goes, I'll do it now." So he scheduled in for surgery, and the surgery was a success. He has an elephant's trunk stuck on the end of his penis. So he takes the girl out to kind of impress her, and they're sitting at a nice dinner date, romantic, candlelights, everything. And he thought, okay, it's about time I'm going to surprise this girl. So as the kind of entrees come in, he reaches down, unzips, and the girl looks in surprise. as this elephant's trunk kind of comes up, moves around, grabs the bread roll, and comes back down again. And the girl goes, "Oh my God, what's that? Can you do that again?" He goes, "Sure, but I'm not sure if my ass can take another one of those."
Wow.
Okay, I'll try one. I hope you get it because it's in metric. There was this woman, and she was like, sort of underdeveloped. And she basically had a normal face, but the body of a little girl with barely any breasts and no body hair, nothing. And she goes on a blind date. And they sort of get it on, and they're like, it's all going well, and they go back to his place, and things start getting hot, and then she says, I have to prepare you, like from my neck down, I'm like a baby. And he said, "Oh, that's okay. From my waist down, I'm like a baby." She's like, "Oh, that is so reassuring." And she undresses, and indeed, she barely has any.
Oh no!
Oh Jesus!
God damn it, Manny! Every time he starts talking,
So
he just
while we're waiting.
Yeah, I kind of.
Anyway, the punchline. I'm sorry, Leo. I just got to say real quick. And anyway, the punchline of the joke is he was a Catholic priest.
No, the punchline is. Okay, so basically, he takes down his pants, and this huge dick falls out, and she says, "You said you're like a baby." "Yeah, honey, 3 kilos, 0.5.
No.
Wow.
Okay. You disappeared.
I don't really have any good jokes, so.
I don't do jokes. Oh, I have a good joke. Standing for truth.
Yeah, there you go.
What happened to Andrew? Are you around, Andrew, or are you just so blown away by this?
Really quick, but no, he's
and
back.
Andrew coming. He's been here, but he hasn't said a word. So
good old Andrew. Right.
Andrew.
Well, Andrew's in high school. We may be hurting him.
Be arrested.
According to Smokey, we might be indoctrinating his young mind into atheism.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like
Andrew.
Americans don't indoctrinate young people into their bullshit.
I was already on the path to atheism by the time I started reading books.
That's how he found us.
Yeah.
He found us on the
I'm pretty
path.
sure I was like an atheist, kind of like softcore atheist by the time I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
That was hardcore by the
have-
time I was 10. Go ahead, Andrew.
I did have a philosophical question from part of the conversation a while back, and I wasn't sure when a good time to ask it would be. But I was doing some research the other day on the different ways of knowing things, or I guess knowing the world to be specific. And I wanted to see what you guys felt about, or I guess ask the question, do you think there could possibly be a world where there is no such thing as gaining knowledge through authority?
Through authority?
Like, do you think there's any scenario where that could happen? Just curious.
What can it say it again? What could happen? Gaining knowledge through what?
Where gaining knowledge through authority is impossible. Do you think there's any world or scenario where that could happen? Like, if we could still gain about the world.
It really depends on what the word authority means in that case.
Well, if you're raised by wolves.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, would be your authority.
But they'd be an authority, so.
Well, this is what my mind immediately thinks of. All right, so if you were in a world, any world where you would gain knowledge, then as you gain more and more knowledge, you would naturally become an authority in that knowledge. So, I mean, because think of it this way: when mankind came about, there was literally nobody that was an authority on anything. And then as mankind learned more about the world around him and gained knowledge through trial and error, and instinct, I mean, then people became authorities in certain areas. I don't necessarily think that knowledge in the beginning came from authority. It came from experience.
Right.
Yeah,
like I'm
Shit. Oh shit, guys. Oh, we're fucked.
What now?
We're fucked. Gus
Smokey.
Gibbon is in the chat.
Where the hell was Gutsick Gibbon?
Gutsick Gibbon.
Where the hell was Gutsick Gibbon when goddamn Standing for Truth was here spewing?
We were supposed to do an intervention on Gutsick Gibbon tonight.
I don't know if she's got time, but if she does, you should throw her the link.
Why
man,
would you have to do?
we're having so much fun.
Why would you have to do an intervention on Gutsick Gibbon?
Because she was watching Nephilim Free and she was drinking, and
man,
yeah, and that's how I got started, and it led to a life of debauchery and it is horrible. But
if Gutsick Gibbon is in here and she wants to join, I will share the story of Lunar Bukkake.
What we all know.
Oh, does she not have that?
If you're not familiar with that story, I will share it. It is my gosh,
awesome story.
So Ian asked me a question. My next debate is supposed to be not obviously not tonight.
Who is it with?
Next Saturday at 9 p.m. on Modern Day Debate: Creation versus Evolution.
Who's the victim? Who's the victim?
Nephilim Free.
Oh,
yeah. Who's going to be the victim in that one?
Nephilim Free.
I don't.
The answer's the same.
Nephilim Free base.
I don't know.
Nephilim Free base.
You like
I just coined that phrase.
You like to be spanked, Leo.
What's that?
I don't care how much fucking
tortured.
logic you have. Nephilim Free is not going to respond to it.
No, Nephilim Free will not take anything that you say at all.
Logic you
have. You know why? You want to know why? You want to know why you won't take anything that Leo says?
Free will not take anything that you say.
That's Erica. Just give her a second.
Erica, I think you got
and the reason Nephilim Free won't accept anything you say, Leo, is because you're just matter in motion.
Yeah.
Well, Erica, you're.
Yo, who was debating Neff?
Leo, he's a masochist.
Leo.
Hey, Gutsick, we're getting feedback from you.
Yeah, we get a lot of feedback from you.
Leo,
Yeah, she's got a bit of a delay.
The
Give her a
feedback
second.
was me.
Oh yes,
Sorry.
we know.
Hey, go easy on me.
We were going to do an intervention on you because I heard you drinking while you were going over Nephilim's video, and you're still drinking. God damn it!
There better be alcohol in that.
Okay.
No, I'm officially on wine hour after consuming so much content from Neffy talking on Standing's channel.
Oh my!
It was an I was a display.
I suppose I should ask the question. You've interacted with Neff before, haven't you, Gutsick or Erica?
I debated Neff on Modern Day. I debated Neff on Modern Day Debate. What are you debating him?
Okay.
I love the air quote.
Creation versus evolution.
Generally,
I don't know how long you've been in the community, but you might not have heard like this reference from Nephilim Free. Have you ever heard of something called Lunar Bukkake?
Oh, I am fully aware of.
Oh, okay. I don't have to explain it.
And
I want an explanation. I've never heard of it.
Oh, he invented it.
Oh my!
Yeah,
okay.
It relates to the global flood. It's a fucking mess.
I'm being spoiled today. I get to explain what Lunar Bukkake is.
It's a Neff original.
Okay.
It's a Nephism.
No. Okay. Oh man. All right. So what the Lunar Bukkake is, Nephilim believes that there is a giant mass of water that is lying underneath the Earth's crust.
It's hydroplate, par for the course.
Yeah. He believes that before the flood, like right before the flood occurred, that this hydroplate and this like massive body of water came shooting up. We don't know what caused it to, at such a high velocity that it burst through all the layers of the crust. It apparently also lifted a whale off the ground, kept going into the air, out of the atmosphere, and landed onto the moon and caused craters on the moon.
Neffy is absolutely out of control with his tweaks to Walt Brown's hydroplate. I mean, we're
Yeah.
like, never mind the fact that hydroplate, we're talking a dozen or so H-bombs per square meter of water for like the entirety of Noah's flood just to get that water like up to the moon in energy.
Okay, that's covered under nozzle velocity here.
Mm-hmm.
Nephilim 3 has defended. This is the rational wiki, so he's famous. So
as the resident expert on bukkake and semen and such, it sounds like a wonderful theory. It really does.
It really does.
Real quick, I've never had an opportunity to talk to. They said your name's Erica.
Yes.
You guys haven't met.
I've seen you many times on MDD, and you're brilliant. And I just want to ask you. We were talking earlier. Does Standing for Truth know anything about biology and evolution
Or genetics?
Oh man.
Not really.
Oh man. Yeah, that's
So, Erica, let's put it this way: if you were to assess what level of education Standing has on genetics, where would you put him about?
There's a weird thing about Standing where I don't think Standing is a dumb person. I don't think he is. In fact, I
don't think he is either.
I think that he's significantly smarter than most people who like run into him tend to give him credit for, because he never shows his full hand in a conversation. Like he'll never fully commit, right. to things that he doesn't know, the kind of tropes for, so to speak. You'll find yourself very hard pressed to get him to talk outside of kind of the script, quote unquote. But I think his knowledge with genetics and biology is really scattershot. Like, I don't think, if memory serves, he does something in the medical profession. I think he does. Yeah, but so the thing is, though, is that he's very selective with kind of what he chooses to address and what he chooses to commit to memory. And it sucks because, like, you can have you can have a conversation with him, and the long story short of it is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Like Standing sat through that entire presentation that I had earlier today. He was in the chat for the first half of it, and he genuinely like was aware in the chat that what Neff was saying was like dumb as a bag of rocks, right? Listening to Neffy talk about anthropology is like being successfully beaten over the head with a rubber mallet, alternating temples for about 30 minutes.
Yep.
That's what it's like listening to Neff talk about anthropology. And I know Standing knows more than that, but he like wouldn't correct Neff on the dumb bullshit that he did.
Yes, that's the thing.
He won't correct anyone.
So that's something that happens like quite a bit. It happens with Otangelo and Joel. It happens with Otangelo and Maddox. It
By
happens
the
with
way,
all
Erica, if you don't know who Joel is, his name is Joel, and I
Leo.
was the one that
What,
granted
Leo?
him
You
the
didn't
name
like
Joel.
that sentence that?
So
You didn't like the sentence that? Started?
Sometimes you gotta jump in. It's how discussions flow. She doesn't fucking know who SFB mod is. I was just telling her who SFB mod is.
If you had let Immutable finish, I mean, he started to tell her something. And
Yeah,
jumped
Immutable also has the mind that he remembers where he was.
So SFB mod is a person who claims to apparently have done like high level gravitational research with like NASA and all sorts of other corporations. Apparently he's also an inorganic chemist, and apparently he also programs advanced AI.
Plasma physicist.
Yeah.
Worked in SpaceX as well.
Yeah.
He's none of those things. We have his academic records. He went to DeVry University. He doesn't have any degrees relevant to anything that he says he does.
Well, if you Google SFB mod and Joel and a few other or Joel and a few other things, you can find the guy's resume. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Eric, I have a question about credentials. May I ask it?
Yeah.
Otangelo, in your conversation, Leo, the other day, did not know what a vector was.
No. Right.
Yet I was under the impression that he claimed to be an engineer.
Yeah. No, he's
a machine designer?
Yeah, some sort of machine designer or something.
What the hell kind of machine?
So here we have a bunch of smart people. I mean, I don't think they're dumb, but they're trying, I think, operating under the premise that because they're smart and because they're motivated, they can sort of get around the need for disciplined education in a complicated field like biology, paleontology.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you mentioned that.
Error.
I'm very glad you
Even
mentioned
I know
that.
what a vector is, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Seriously, who doesn't know what a vector is?
I know.
Well, apparently Artangelo doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad you mentioned that, Scott, because today I asked Otangelo what about a particular chemical reaction, which is called the trans-esterification reaction. It's something in organic chemistry. If you've taken anything before genetics, you might have.
No, I had college chemistry for a business major.
No, it's not important, the reaction itself, but I did that because Otangelo was trying to grandstand on John for criticizing criticizing Maddox. And I asked, like, Otangelo said, "Oh, well, yes, I do know what that is. But even if I didn't know, I could just Google it." And I hate to break it to you, but that's not the way knowledge works.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, and I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it many more times. I think a lot of these guys are under the impression that being an expert in something involves a lot of general eyeballing and then making a call, rather than series of measurements and background information and years of formal education. My experience with this is typically geared towards anthropology, where the vibe tends to be they think we look at a skull and we're like, that kind of looks like an Australopithecine, and then we toss it in the pile with the rest of the Australopithecines. And I think the same is true for a lot of biochem stuff and anything with regard to origin of life research or basic evolutionary concepts, where they think it kind of boils down to a couple of core concepts that if you know them, you can get the gist of the entire subject, which is asinine, right? I mean, there are folks that spend their entire lives just studying, single proteins, right? And the mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
They do. And
I mean, Erica,
well, the thing is, to add to what you were saying.
Can I interject? I've been quiet for a long time. Can I just interject real quick?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask her. You were alluding to the fact that you don't think that SFT is a complete dumbass or anything, but when he debates the subject of evolution, he's doing exactly what you described, right? He just.
I think he very frequently is guilty of obfuscation, right? And the only reason I say that, I really try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I've given Standing the benefit of the doubt for quite some time. But with Standing, it kind of feels like sometimes you end up having the conversation about the same subject more than one time. And I know his memory is not bad, which leads me to believe that the concept is being kind of almost feigned in bad faith, right? And that tends to be my concern. It's I am more than happy. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I put money on it. It's I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to anybody, no matter their level of understanding of the concepts that, for instance, I would know decently well, as long as they're good faith about it. They're coming to the table with the understanding that it's all right, I'm willing to be corrected on things. I'm willing to alter my perspective when corrected. And that doesn't mean you have to toss creationism, out entirely. You do, that there is a reason for that, but it's completely unrelated. But it's you have to alter portions of your hypothesis if you've been proven to be grossly incorrect. Standing with the hydroplate hypothesis, Walt Brown, right? It's I am not a physicist. I don't know any of that shit very well. I took physics 1 and 2 in undergrad. That's the extent of my physics knowledge. But I sat down and I made myself do the calculations and figure out how hydroplate would work energy-wise, and consulted people who knew the subject. And then I came to the table with that information, and I was like, look, this doesn't work. You guys have a huge heat problem if you're going with a 6,000-year-old Earth. It's enormous. You've got to do something about it. And instead of coming out and being yes, hydroplate is a dumbass idea, I thereby retract it and make a move in a different direction, they just don't touch it anymore. They don't talk about it. And if they do, it's this weird amalgamation of a little bit of hydroplate and a little bit of catastrophic plate tectonics, in order to not, it feels like it's in order to not be pinned down, right?
I've got an analogy. It's kind of a crappy analogy, but suppose you work on a coal mine, and all you really, you build cabinets, and that's all you do, and that's what you're passionate about, and that's what you're interested in, is how to build things, right? And you hear this story when you're a child, or you have a book that you really believe in that tells you that trees grow because the water on up on the hill in a basin, the pressure of the water blows the tree up, and that's why the ring expands, right? And so then you decide to go into the debate community and prove your theory, and you find a paper that talks about cells blowing up and expanding when because of water pressure, right? So you say, oh, that's it, proves my theory. The thing is, they do not go any deeper than that. They read whatever words verify the story that they already believe in, and they don't have analytical minds. I've tried to explain to Otangelo and to a few others how the science of abiogenesis works and how methodological naturalism works, and it just bounces right off their heads over and over again, and it drives me crazy. But I decided that there are two different ways that people think about the world, and one of them is us scientists. Like when I hear Standing for Truth make a claim, it takes me 2 days of digging to make goddamn sure that I'm not wrong.
Yep.
Right?
So
Yep.
I don't know.
And I'll tell you what, there's proof of that just from the other day when Knock was debating Gavin Herleman, and Gavin did his opening, and he just listed a series of claims, and then he had offered citations, but no doubt in my mind that what you just described, where he went to Google and the first thing he found that fit what he was saying, he took that as an authority. And then when people went to check on his citations, one of them was actually an Amazon link to a book that you could buy.
Yeah,
So,
the problem with them is they're not trying to learn. They're not trying to get the truth. They're trying to twist it and contort it to fit a preconceived notion. That's it. That's why they won't correct themselves at all. Ever. On anything.
Come to your conclusions first, and then look for what supports it.
Yeah. And this morning on the weather report, last night, Otangelo did a video on this paper that got published about probabilities and I think abiogenesis or something. And this morning in my I looked at my email from yesterday, and sure enough, from Evolution News, one of their ICR, sources, that was the paper that was featured. So these guys, they get all their source information there.
Speed, can you pop the link in the chat really quick? Nathan is here, and he needs to join because we need to go over the amazing destruction that Doubting Thomas handed down to Otangelo off air after Knox after show.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, me and Nathan witnessed it, and that's why I was waiting for him to get here.
Am I going to need a link?
I'm actually going to head out.
It was a pleasure to meet you, John.
Hey, it was so much. I feel honored to have met you, Eric.
Oh, no.
And,
I have.
I just want to comment on something you had said. That you thought that SFT had some kind of career in medicine. You said, or
nursing?
Yes, he's a nurse.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I was going to ask if he emptied bedpans. So that
sort of.
And then just real quick, shit, what was I going to say? Oh, I was on Jefferson Spatchcock's stream the other day, and Gavin actually came in, and we were talking to him about the debate he had with Knock, and talking about a bunch of different things. Essentially, we were instigating Gavin and asking him questions to get him to say stupid shit, And I asked him at one point, I interjected in the middle of some other discussion, and I said, "Hey, Gavin, do you ever eat Chinese food?" And he said, "What?" I said, "No, do you ever go to a Chinese restaurant and eat Chinese food?" He said, "Oh, all the time. I eat Chinese food all the time." I said, "Have you ever had panspermia?" And he said, "Well, no, I don't think I've had that particular dish."
Oh no!
So, I think I can resolve this really simply. Forget science. I'm Israeli. I'm a Hebrew speaker. I studied the Hebrew Bible for 12 years because that's what Israelis do. And then I debate Praise I Am That I Am. And he called me a Dunning-Kruger in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Because he read
Good
the
night,
book.
everybody.
Oh,
Night,
night.
John.
Night,
Much
night.
love.
Good night,
Thanks for
John.
coming in, John.
He read some stupid book. He got everything wrong. I tell him, look, you don't understand what you're talking about. I ask him, do you know what Jewish law is? He doesn't know what that is. I quote from the Jewish Talmud. He says, no, that's a Babylonian text that calls Christians dogs. And just like nothing could get past him. I went, even though I know everything, I read, I checked, I double checked, I brought quotes. Nothing got through to him. And it's not about science. It's about fucking Hebrew. And he told me I don't know my own language.
He
And
said
told me
he
that's
said
all
you
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
he said you knew the words but not the grammar.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
This is the problem with praise, and you see it with people with I collectively praise I Am That I Am, John Maddox, Smokey Saint, Otangelo Grasso, Nephilim Free, Gavin Herleman, all of that little clique that they have that's like 12, 13, 14 of them. I call them the Brotherhood, TM. And yes, with the trademark, because number one, they call each other brother. Number two, it kind of plays to the underlying misogyny that's rampant in that group. But the thing with all of them is they act like they're experts on this, and they're not even remotely close to understanding this at the level that a layperson would, let alone an expert. And that's the problem with Praise. Praise literally thinks that he's a fucking scholar on Hebrew, and he's not at all.
No, he's
Well,
not.
did he go to a seminary or a Bible college or anything like that where they teach Hebrew, or did he look it up on Bible Gateway?
I've heard him say stuff in Hebrew, but I don't know if he's reading
this
that off of
book and
something or
that
if he
book.
knows it or.
That's all he has. He has like a few books. He found some article on Google, and he thinks he's a genius. He thinks he's like, and it's how, and he explains to me that I cannot read the Hebrew Bible because I can only.
Oh no!
Oh Jesus! Here we go.
Hey Erica, this Nathan Art. I don't know if you've met him.
It's a dead language, and it's all bull crap. Sorry, cut off there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you cut off. Go ahead.
All Israelis can read the Bible. It's not a dead language. That is completely wrong.
Oh my god. That is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, Erica, Nathan, you're an artist, and Nathan is an artist, and he's been doing our show icons, and this is the one he did for tonight.
Oh my god.
Nathan just popped in. So
there's a few things I want to say. First off, Nathan, how long does it take you to do an image like this one here, on average?
He's muted. You're muted, Nathan.
Nathan, you're muted.
I
don't even know if he's probably away from his.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing good.
Hey, Eric, how you doing? Big fan.
Hey, doing all right. How are you?
So the question was, how long does it take you to do something like this? You did it pretty fast, I think.
I take my time, actually. Usually take about 4 to 5 hours.
Oh my God, you're doing that much work for us?
The second thing I wanted to say is I expect, I don't know when it's going to be, but me and Praise are both eager for this debate, so I'm sure it's going to happen. We're going to be having a debate on Modern Day Debate on the subject of, is consciousness physical? And I am very much looking forward to this discussion because I have, let me just count here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's not all, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's still not all, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and that's still not all. Just give me a second here, because I'd actually like to know what the actual number that I have
What are they?
is. I'll tell you here in a second. 18, 19, 20, and that's still not quite all of them. Gotta make sure I'm catching everything related here.
Why don't you just
I was
say
at 20, 21, 22 articles from either direct scientific research or by magazines like Quantum Magazine, Scientific American, stuff like that. All very reputable links. Every single one of them.
Okay.
Hold on. Every single one of them shows that things like emotions, things like memory are all in the brain, things like cognition are all in the brain, that consciousness comes from the brain, that near-death experiences are fully processes happening in the brain. There literally isn't any at all reputable data in the field suggesting that any aspect of human cognition is anything other than physical. This is going to be a very fun debate.
Leo, I have 100 books on neuroscience. I have 150 books on consciousness and the mind. And if I'm not involved in that debate, I'm going to
try to
strangle you.
Yeah, we're going to try to get Speed in. I'm going to talk to Praise and see if he can bring, if he's going to have, if he would be willing to have somebody that he can bring on. To
and by the way, I have read those fucking books.
Oh, I would imagine that you have. So now that Nathan Art is here, I'm going to let him start by opening up on the absolute fucking destruction that Doubting Thomas laid on Otangelo.
Do I need a link?
Just one thing about that debate. Just know, you are never going to change their mind. They will never admit defeat.
It's not about that.
Think.
That's not why I debate these creationists. I do it, and it might sound a little pretentious, but I think it's something that, quite frankly, needs to be done.
We got to make it.
I do it to
informative.
absolutely fucking embarrass them.
Yeah, make it informative.
Yes, I'm informing the audience, not my interlocutor, because I'm never going to change their mind.
I think, too, though, it's important to note that while certainly you're not going to change Prace's mind on camera, or, you're not going to, get anyone there to admit that they're incorrect about anything more than, a little error that they may have made.
Yeah.
Those kinds of conversations very frequently stick around in the minds of people.
Oh, yes.
I've had my mind changed by conversations that I've had with people, but my mind didn't change until, a year, 2 years later. And yet I fought back still to that debate, or not debate, I guess, conversation in my case. But remember, Prace, for instance, has already changed his mind. He used to think that there was a global flood. He thinks the flood is local now. So he can be taught. Yeah.
Oh, there's hope.
Impressive.
I mean,
Yes.
I didn't change his mind. I don't know who changed his mind, but someone did.
So Nathan,
you know what?
I feel like Manny's like walking around his house trying to find the best.
Well, the problem is that he only freezes.
And all creationists. Yeah, I don't know why it freezes all the time, but they all
only
go
when
like
you talk.
The Grand Canyon. Yeah, the Grand Canyon. Who cares about the stinking Grand Canyon?
What about Mount St. Helens?
I'm in Israel. It happened here. If it didn't happen, but why are you talking about the Grand Canyon? Who cares?
So the thing is, and Nathan can attest to everything I'm about to say, he was sitting there quiet, and I'm sure he was probably laughing his ass off in real life. Because, I mean, Doubting, and I don't know who here does and doesn't know who Doubting Thomas is. He's often in some side chats, jumps in some streams here and there, like with Jefferson Spatchcock and stuff like that. But he, and this was after Knock had ended the stream and he went to bed, and it was just us lingering behind. And so what he was doing is he wasn't rude or mean, but he was up front, but it was still honest and respectful, albeit constructive criticism. And he pretty much said to Otangelo, like, look, dude, you literally, by your own admission, did not even know what a vector was, and that's pretty basic math. So you can sit here now and admit, I don't know all this stuff about math, but the problem is you go head to head with literal professionals in these fields and act like you're more educated on it than they are. But you don't even know what the fuck a vector is. How can you go head to head with professionals on something if you don't even know the basics of the basics of the basics?
No,
and he said, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but all it really does is just demonstrate your ignorance.
I will never to this day understand where that misplaced confidence comes from that you see a lot with creationists, because like anyone that I've met, myself included, that has even tangential understanding of any given field, like that is their expertise. When you meet someone who's been doing it for longer, you almost feel you're scared to say anything in their presence because you know they've been doing it for longer and you know that they know their stuff. And I can't even imagine like walking up to, I don't know, someone with like a PhD in the field for 10 years and insisting that I know more about their given topic of expertise than they do without a degree to show for it,
Yes. And
where does that come from? I don't know.
I don't know at all.
So
but the other thing, go ahead.
Mr. Kruger.
Go ahead.
So
That's
I think
where it comes from. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah, it is. And part of it, you have to remember, right, that some creationists think that all scientists who don't think like that the Earth is 6,000 years old and that evolution is true are just lying to them, right? That they are devil worship, that they are devil worshiping, baby killing,
It's all a big conspiracy.
That just want to sin, that don't want to believe in God, and don't want to go back to the good old days back in the 60s.
Back in the 60s.
Another thing is, I don't know if you've seen any of the videos here. There's been at least maybe half a dozen, if not more. Dmitry Kunev, who is a PhD molecular biologist and an active origins of life research, has literally been in research labs, has actually published papers on this. I don't know if any of them have been peer reviewed, but I know he's definitely published. He's had numerous conversations with Otangelo and has thoroughly explained why Otangelo is just straightforwardly wrong. I asked Otangelo, and again, Nathan can attest to this. I asked him, I said, Otangelo, what do you have any degrees in this subject? And I clarified by saying, I'm not saying that you don't know anything, because I don't believe that, but do you have any degrees in this? And he said, no. And I said, so would you state that somebody with a PhD in, say, molecular biology knows more than you in the subject? And then he said, well, what I would say is that essentially he wanted to go on a spiel about how he's a machine designer, and so he looks at it from a different perspective. Before he got to that, I was like, no, it's literally a yes or no question, dude. Would you state that somebody with a PhD in a field relevant to, say, abiogenesis, molecular biology, biochemistry, things like that, would you say that they know more than you on the subject? He wouldn't give me a straight answer. I pressed him thrice. He would not give me a straight answer. Doubting Thomas pressed him twice. He would not give a straight answer. He would not just say, yeah. I straight up said, look, I know a hell of a lot about astrophysics and cosmology, more so than the average layperson in it. I've literally been asked by PhDs when I'm having discussions with them if I'm an undergraduate student, and I'm like, no, and they're like, well, you should be. And I still would never even say that I'm on par with them, let alone that I know more. So it's like, how do you not have the humility to say, you know what? Yes, a professional would know more than me.
So
here's the problem.
So you have to remember that with somebody like Otangelo, because Otangelo's big thing now is like the whole freaking ribozyme and the ribosome. He thinks he knows enough about the ribosome and the ribozyme better than somebody who's a ribosomologist.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, he said the thing is, right? You can ask him, like, okay, do you understand like the phylogeny like that has been done, like the phylogenetics that has been done on the ribosome? Do you understand like how proteins work? Do you understand like that RNA like intrinsically like will create secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structures based on the sequence alone?
So like, in addition to that, just a quick little add-on to that, a lot of creationists don't understand like how phylogeny works. They don't understand that in a study, right, that involves phylogenetics, typically, and by typically I mean always, there is a statistical analysis that is run. A lot of times there's like Bayesian analyses as well that help you come up with these best fit phylogenetic diagrams and such. And those are just for ease of digesting the information, but the legwork is done in the stats analysis, and that's just numbers and statistics, right? Like, but you know, Kent's favorite thing, right? Of course, and these guys all descend, if you will, from that common ancestor. They think it's all lines on paper, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. This article.
It truly is amazing, because what you also what they also don't understand, right, is that the reason phylogenies work is that, especially if you're studying, say, like a very particular gene that doesn't often mutate, that the only reason phylogeny works and the only reason you can really make that happen is because there are very specific genetic mechanisms that cause certain nucleotides to vary in a very specific way, and that those type of things should be expected over the course of a very, very long period of time. And it only makes sense for those things to occur.
Yes.
And those things are simpler to occur than just a god poofing those things into existence.
Yeah. And a huge problem that I think, is very close to the root of all this is a profound misunderstanding of how to do a literature search on any given question.
Oh, definitely.
These folks don't know. Okay, let's say my question is, and you guys are way better at the biochem stuff than I am, but let's say I want to know why we split platyrines and catarines into the old New World monkeys, right? I would immediately pop into Google Scholar first thing. That's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm finding as much literature on that subject as I possibly can. And then I'm going to look at it from newest to oldest, see how it's changed through time, look at the methodologies, look at the results, see how those have changed through time, and then assess it after I've consumed all of that information. What you get with Maddox is looking at anything that has to do with origin of life research, opening that shit up, and control Fing for the word nanomachine. That's it.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, this. By the way, Erica, get ready for this article. I covered it in my morning report this morning, but a new article came out, and they're going to be hammering everybody with this article. So
great. I need to get some more wine then.
Yeah, so you need more wine.
I did want to add on really quick that after both me and Doubting Thomas had pressed him on answering the question of, do you think that, essentially it's like, do you really think that you know more than a professional? Doubting went on, it's like, dude, right now, you don't have, it straight up said it, you don't have enough humility to admit that people that have been studying this, that actually have formal education, which you, Altangelo, have already admitted you don't have, that these people that have been researching this and actually are working in the labs, you don't have the humility to admit that these people do know more than you. And all it is that he said, why is it that you think that you even have the ability to go head to head with these people?
He didn't even know what an alcohol was.
It's astounding.
Okay, thinks he's doing molecular biology. He didn't even know what an alcohol was, or he couldn't draw isopropyl alcohol for me. And not everybody on this panel can. But if you're going to be talking about this shit,
exactly,
in terms of molecular biology,
exactly. And that was another thing that Doubting Thomas said. He's like, I'm not saying that you don't know anything, but if you don't know even the basics, you should not be going head to head with people who do know these things. You shouldn't be talking about these things if you don't really stand what they are.
Yeah.
And he said that's your problem. You're just ignorant.
It's such an enormous disrespect to the people that they engage with as well.
Yes.
Or professionals in the subject, because when I, for instance, schedule a call with a supervisor or something like that, if I show up and I don't know the shit that they need me to know in order to have a conversation, then I get kicked out of the program. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it works. You're not going to go in blind to these kinds of conversations because it makes you look like, an idiot at worst and irresponsible at best.
Yeah.
So it's just not great. It's not good showing,
Exactly.
So I remember when he was talking, or Tangelo was talking to Demeter, and Demeter went through painstakingly and finally made that famous chicken coop analogy,
Yeah.
And then right after that, Otangelo's big complaint was that he didn't get enough time to talk, that Demeter was talking too much.
Yeah.
And
then he couldn't remember Demeter's chicken coop analogy.
Yeah.
It was like he never heard it.
And it's not like Demeter was talking fast.
No.
I
He was just
wanted to
being
get my
explanative.
PB because of that analogy he made about the chicken coop, about how, cellular function can change, based on, like, okay, so you don't have this one ribosome available. Well, that cell can take up a different function. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. And it was delivered so slowly, and all Demeter said was, "You won't let me talk."
The problem is, I understand that Demeter can be a little long-winded, and the thing is, that's not a problem, because the thing is, Demeter is a professional. Otangelo's not. He understands that Otangelo is not a professional, but has at least some level of understanding. But Demeter also knows that there's a lot of information to parse out here.
Yeah.
And he's trying to parse that out in a way that's going to be palatable
Right.
for who he's talking to be able to understand this. So he's got to have some time to be able to explain this. The problem is Otangelo just didn't want to admit that he was being fucking schooled.
Demeter was talking about like 5 and 6 nucleotide strands of mRNA, like he was way back 4 billion years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then Otangelo says, but what about the ribosomal complex, from today? I just want to get through this article here. So every day I get emails and I put them in the creatards, I probably shouldn't use that word, folder, and they come from Answers in Genesis and all this. And as soon as you see something here, you will see a video within 7 days, basically, that'll have the same subject. And these guys make the case here that this article, okay, they knew about it, but they wouldn't speak about it publicly until after its official publication date, because we knew that once Darwinists found out about it, they would try to have the article canceled. And then here's what they do. Okay, this little thing right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse. This is a goddamn picture. They don't even link the article in this article. Okay, that's all they show you is the abstract. And that's it. And they do this over and over again. They don't care if you read the article. If you read this article, I think it's pretty much bullshit. but I mean, it's a good mathematical article on how to figure out whether or not something is fine-tuned, but they don't have any of the numbers to plug into their math.
There's something there that I want to touch on, and I know both Immutable and Erica, since they're in graduate school, will be able to
I'm not yet.
Be able to. Oh well, but I still know that you're in academia. You'll be able to agree with me on this. That a paper can be both published and peer reviewed, and still be wrong. Understand, like, just, and this is what Standing for Truth does. He'll just go out, well, I've got this paper and that paper and that paper and this paper and this paper and that paper and that paper and this paper, and he just throws all these papers at you, but it means nothing. It doesn't matter how many papers you cite. What matters is your ability to understand the material in it, to be able to parse that out and explain it in a way that's palatable for people to understand. And these creationists don't know how to do that. They cherry pick papers to only so that they can say they've got technical literature. But having technical literature does not make you right. And Gavin did that in his debate with The Rage, with Knock. He kept saying, well, I've got all these studies. How many papers did you bring? You didn't bring any. It's like, if you think winning a debate is how many studies or papers or whatever the hell you want to call them that you bring to the table, if you think that's what's going to win the debate, you don't know how to debate. It's about a debate. You're winning or losing a debate, and anybody who's ever done it, like, formally in like high school or college, knows this. It's not even about whether you're right or wrong winning a debate. Yeah. It's about how well can you construct a cogent argument for your point, and how well can you deconstruct your opponent's argument. You could be dead fucking wrong, but if you can construct a better argument and do a better job of deconstructing your opponents, you will be judged the winner. These guys, all they want to be able to say is that they have technical literature, but just having technical literature doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't parse out the information that's in it. And explain why. We should take it as being correct. Sorry to add that last little bit there.
Okay, look at
even
this
if it's not
here.
about technical literature.
Okay. like Erica, your Patreon, I think, starts at the $1 tier. These guys start at the $25 tier.
Good.
Yeah, and I mean, we're doing something fucking wrong. You know?
I know we're not grifting hard enough.
Why don't we start a GoFundMe?
Hashtag John Maddox is a grifter.
Oh my God. John Maddox has been surprisingly quiet on Standing for Truth's channel recently.
Oh, he has. Something happened there.
Yeah, what is he? Did he like mess up or something? Is he embarrassed?
I think his association with Smokey has become a problem between like the Praise team and Standing for Truth. And Maddox kind of went 100% Smokey.
Yeah, the Brotherhood used to be more united, and now it's kind of split into the Brotherhood, which is Smokey side, and then what I can't remember who dubbed it this, but they said the Shalom Squad, which would be like Standing for Truth and Praise. And so it's kind of split into those two groups now. I still call them collectively the Brotherhood because I think it's fucking hilarious.
Every time I go for the Brain Trust. I think that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, the SFP Brain Trust. They love that one.
Every time you go on one of their streams from now on in the chat, the first thing you should say is Shazam, brothers.
I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start doing that. Shazam, brothers.
You know, guys, like when Praise brought an article to our debate, he brought a Time magazine piece, and the headline said that the gay gene myth has been debunked or something.
Something like
that. As soon as you go below and Praise showed it in his stream and yelled, he just read the headline and said, see, and if you don't believe me, you have confirmation bias. This proves that homosexuality is not genetic. Only if you read beyond the headline, it literally says that it is polygenic and there's no single gay gene. There are 5 different markers.
Exactly.
So
I actually
reading comprehension. Just read the English. You don't have to do science.
He said it was a meta-analysis because they had like 500,000 or 600,000. It was like roughly 500,000 people in this study.
Yeah.
You know, looking at their genes and everything. And I actually typed in I found. I don't remember what I did, but I ended up finding the actual study originally published in the journal Science, and they literally stated, just as many has explained, that it's not there is no gay gene because it isn't one gene. There isn't a gay gene. There's
an a gay gene.
God,
is a gay gene. And I cited it gets in the side chat like
the misunderstanding gets even better. Well, it gets even better when I finally got him to actually read what it says. It said that genes basically have an explanatory power of between 8 and they think 25%. He took that to mean that there's an 8% chance that you'll be born gay. Because he doesn't know what explanatory power is.
They don't know what statistics is either. I remember Otangelo has said that abiogenesis is impossible because he cites some 1 in 10 to like 700,000th power. And I said, that is an extraordinarily large number, or if we're translating that back into probability, a very, very an extraordinarily small probability, but it's not 0. And I straight up said, Otangelo, you don't understand statistics like straightforwardly. To say that something is impossible statistically means the probability has to be 0. If it's any, it doesn't matter how small the non-zero value is. If it's a non-zero value, it's not impossible. It is not statistically impossible.
I got it.
And again, from that same debate, the researchers from that same article went on to stress, and that's how it appears in Time article, in Time magazine. I didn't read the Science article, just his piece.
Mm-hmm.
And
Erica, were you here for the gay sperm conversation?
God, I can't even imagine the sheer like nerves of steel that you guys must have had to don to deal with their
sperm of steel.
You know what he said on his stream after show? That talking to me is like banging his head against a wall.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because they wouldn't let him get away with his BS. And it even
Basically,
said,
praises proof that being gay isn't natural is that if you in a scientific setting, if you put a female egg and you have a bunch of male sperm, the male sperm will go after the female egg, and that's his proof that being gay is not natural.
Yes, he literally said that.
Because
Oh my
if it were true, the male sperms would go after each other.
You really can spot someone who has done exactly zero behavioral research by someone who thinks that homosexuality isn't natural, because that shit is rampant in nature. Homosexuality is a social aspect of group living animals, believe it or not. Why do you?
you like chimps?
So much, bonobo much? Come on.
Yeah, you like your monkeys, right? And they
Oh.
have, I don't remember which kind, that they have these orgies to
bonobos.
relieve stress.
Yeah. Yep.
After the male fight.
Yeah, actually, interestingly enough, I think I would have a hard time if you sat me down and you were like, write a list of 5 primates that you know don't do gay stuff. And I would be like,
yeah, what about giraffes? Dolphins?
They say 8% of rams like ram each other.
Gay bedbugs.
And another thing that Praise was trying to argue, at least it seemed like, I'm like quite certain he was trying to argue this from how he was talking. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he seemed to think that something being genetic meant it was inherently hereditary. And I'm just like, in the chat, I made the analogy. I said, I have autism. That's genetic. My mom does not have autism, and my father does not have autism. Genetic doesn't mean hereditary.
No, not
at all.
Oh, but we don't have mutations, because all mutations are bad, and then we'll all die because the ion channels will change and.
Yep. This is something I'm betting is going to happen in my debate with Nephilim. Is he's going to try to he's going to try to pull it into more abiogenesis and genetics and mutation rather than actually sticking with evolution.
I'm warning you right now. Nephi is going to piss you off.
Yeah. No, it's not. I've dealt with, and the only reason I'm saying he's not, and I get what you're saying, is because I've dealt with him the last 5 years on Pal Talk. I know his talking points. I know his trope. What he's going to do is he's going to talk for 5 fucking minutes, and I'm going to sit there and listen, and I'm going to get maybe 10 seconds out, and he's going to try to jump on something. And that's why I'm glad, honestly, and I'm not saying this because I want you to be unfair, because I don't, but I really hope that you're the one moderating that debate.
The one time I interacted with Nephilim, that was really fun, because I made the mistake of popping into their live stream. That's how I got to know Speed and everything. But we were trying to discuss something about abiogenesis, and all Nephilim had to say was, "So you're an idolater because you worship dirt. You think the dirt made everything. So
when
you're
Nephilim talks,
an idolater."
Sounds like he's got a bit of a lisp there too. I don't know if anybody else.
This is going on live right now, and you can see SFB mod, Erica. That's Joel.
Yeah,
he's over on Nephilim.
He's the guy that originally
is Joel like Jor-El? Is that
no,
like
no.
Yeah, Joel.
His name is Joel, like Joel. I was the one who coined Joel to troll him. Me and him were originally supposed to have a conversation talking about physics and stuff and quantum mechanics here on Speed's channel, and he was in one of Otangelo's streams. Otangelo had stepped away. He was no longer in the stream. And I started pressing him on some things in the side chat. He mentioned something called supernatural numbers, which is a real thing. And literally, and Immutable can attest to this because I'm pretty sure he was there. It's just fucking hilarious. Because I'm going to be honest, Immutable probably knows more about math than I do, because I've never done any formal classes. Everything I know, and I know a bit about like tensor calculus, vector calculus, linear algebra. I learned all that on my own. Anyway, I explained to him what supernatural numbers really are, because he was trying to argue that it proves that there are actually supernatural things existing. And I'm like, no, they're just really just generalizations of prime numbers. I said, your argument is like saying that imaginary numbers prove that imaginary things actually exist. Like, do you realize how stupid what you're saying is? And ever since then, he fervently fervently refuses to have a discussion with me about anything related to physics.
No,
Also,
I'm sure.
to add to that, I have not heard John Maddox mention anything about quantum mechanics. So Armin Ra and T-Jump went against some two guys named Cliff and Stewart on MDD like a month ago. I don't know if you remember that. Did you moderate that? I don't know.
No,
But
I didn't even
was
see
on
that.
the,
How'd
that
that
was on.
You talk about Cliff connecting and his son.
Anyway, they were debating about the soul, and John Maddox had an after show because they were trying. John was trying to argue something about consciousness collapses the wave function, which just is not the case. And I went into his after show and pretty much educated the whole stream on like very, very basic aspects of quantum mechanics. And ever since then, John does not let me in his streams. I haven't heard him really talk about quantum mechanics much. Praise did the same thing in his debate that where him and who was it went up against Amy. Him and Maddox went up against Amy and Brenda because you're the one that asked the very last question of mine, and that's glorious. But I went into Praise's after show he had about that, and I said, "So Praise, do you know where the word collapse is?" First off, because in order to explain that, I had to go to something else. I said, before I even go there, do you know what a function of a variable is? F of x? And Praise was like, no. And I'm just like, oh.
No, yeah. They're yeah. I can't even imagine.
I was like,
y equals? What do you mean? Y equals f of x? What?
Yeah, and then you make a graph, and it looks like a parabola.
That's high school.
Yeah. And the question that I had asked him, and no offense, but Erica, you did butcher that question, but you admitted you don't know, you're not versed in physics on that level. So the question that I asked was, Praise, do you know what an eigenbasis is and what happens when one eigenbasis projects to one particular basis eigenstate? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, that's the linear algebra defining what wave function collapse is. So in my head, I'm just like, if you don't know what that is, you probably shouldn't be talking about wave function collapse, let alone anything in quantum mechanics at all.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, hey, that's why I don't talk about wave functions.
Yeah. See, you're an intelligent person. You can acknowledge what your boundaries are, and you don't.
Oh God,
like
yes.
You know what's beyond them.
My boundaries are pretty much all encompassing. Ask me questions about monkeys. I got you. Human evolution, I suppose. Yeah, I'm if you really want to get an F2, I'm sure you guys all know about the horrific carbohydrate incident.
I don't know if I do.
I don't know about that one.
What was that?
What did he?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
like
Neff was
carbohydrate incident.
Yeah, Neff was in a conversation about oh God, well, if memory serves, it was literally a bio and biochem, and he was asked in the chat what a carbohydrate was. Just what is a carbohydrate? Like, Neff, show us you know what a carbohydrate is. And the man could not answer the question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
I have a better one from Nephilim. Also from chat. He said there is no natural process to form a complex carbohydrates. And I was like, what are you talking about? Photosynthesis. And he says, no, that's not natural. That's intelligently designed. Oh, great. Yeah.
Who was it that said that proteins decompose in water? I think that was Otangelo.
Trim Pearson, probably.
Which one?
I mean, Maddox is the one who talked about lipids self-replicating. So
yeah, he did. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that one with you. Right? Even I know what lipids are. I studied some brain science.
Tear that claim apart, because this is going to be brilliant.
Lipids self-replicate, do they?
It's goddamn fact. For all people who do not know what lipids are, it's just fact.
The thing is I stopped him too, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, what are you saying? Wait, are you think that I'm saying that lipids self-replicate? Oh, I couldn't. Hold on, let me get some more wine.
Yeah, you explained that they were appearing next to hydro vents. I remember that debate.
Lipids are just
that
very
they naturally form even today.
What was that, Immutable? They're very long what? Carbohydrates? Is that what you said?
Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are just carbon compounds that have hydrogens on them.
By the way, Immutable, would you be willing to, probably, me and Speed are thinking probably this Tuesday, I want, it's him, you, I'm gonna ask Erica if she'd be interested in being here. I don't know if she's busy. Walker, obviously. Maybe Demeter, help me set up my introductory statement for my debate with Nephilim, because I know enough about evolutionary theory to know that it's correct, but I don't know enough to sit there on my own and make a nice, thorough, cogent argument in favor of it. And I don't want anything too complex, just some simple stuff that's palatable for a lay audience that pretty much says, hey, look, if this is true and if we observe this, evolutionary theory has to be true. And hey, we observe this. So just some really simple stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want a script written out for my introductory statement, just some bullet points of stuff that I should mention and kind of parse out for the audience, because I hate reading from a script. I'd rather get bullet points and then explain it in my own words in the way that I want, because that's what I like to do.
But I think Immutable was right. We're throwing out sciencey words. So truly carbohydrates, that's like carbon and hydrogen. And these are the basic organic compounds. Yeah. When you talk about organic chemistry, you start out with carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So like methane, ethane, tryptophan, all of these are basically carbon and hydrogen. And this is from a layperson.
And oxygen.
So carbohydrates in the realm of organic chemistry are just compounds with carbon and hydrogen in their structure. When biochemists talk about them, they're typically referring to sugars.
Yeah,
oxygen. So they're referring to like lactose, maltose, allose, galactose, different sugars in their isomers.
Don't carbohydrates also make up like some fibers stuff like that too?
Yes. So those are complex. So those are complex saccharides, which are
like what the hell? Shit, I forgot the stuff in wood. The wood stuff.
Not pulp, is it?
No, the wood stuff. What? The biggest thing in wood. What is it called?
Cellulose and lignin.
Cellulose. Yes. I think it's cellulose.
Cellulose.
Oh yeah, cellulose.
Yeah. It's
so Erica is back. I have a question for you. And I don't know if you're busy or not. So we're thinking Tuesday. Speed, Immutable, and Just a Walking Fish Walker. I don't know if you've met him. Are going to help me set up an introductory statement and just go through some stuff that's going to be relevant for this debate with Nephilim. And I was wondering if you would be interested in being there. I don't know what time do you think would be a good? Are you Central Standard Time, Erica?
I am CST. Yes.
Okay. 4 a.m. would be a good time. 4 a.m. is.
How about no?
Okay.
Yeah, pass on that.
How about fuck no?
Yeah, I don't really fuck my planners. Yes. Do you have a Twitter?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, at Leophilia, spelled exactly the way you see it on the screen. Here, let me
I
might be able to just I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a
I think you taught me to twit, Erica.
Speed, you're bad at Twitter. No offense.
You'll know it's me.
Am I bad at Twitter? Why? How do I get good at Twitter? How do I become a good twit?
You'll know it's me on Twitter because you're probably going to look at a mathematical equation.
I already got you.
Number. Okay. Awesome.
And lots of images of Amelia Clark.
Yeah. I stand the fuck out of Amelia Clark, and I am not ashamed by that one motherfucking bit.
No, I was just amazed at how many images of Amelia Clark even existed, and you have one of each.
Well, she's beautiful. Why would they not exist? Come on now.
He's happy. You're the only one who can help me. Who's hot on Game of Thrones by your standards?
Who is hot by my standards?
Like the guys, because he keeps talking about Amelia Clark.
So Amelia Clark's first husband.
Oh shit. Oh god, there are a lot of hot guys on Game of Thrones. Holy shit, yeah. I think that Kit, what's his name, who plays
Kit
John
Harington.
Yeah, he's okay. I think he's a little he's a little bit not my taste. I kind of think Jamie's a little bit hot, but that's
Nikolai Coster-Waldau?
Yeah,
exactly. Coster-Waldau, yeah.
Yeah,
Manny's like, ooh, I would eat that.
As a hetero, I would pick Jon Snow.
I kind of saw him and I was like, hold up, wait.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm cisgender, but Tywin Lannister, I can't remember the name of the guy who plays him. For an older guy, he's actually kind of a good-looking older guy. He really is.
he's
is.
he's a silver fox for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
my fiance and I are both very comfortable with our sexuality, and he and I, when we were watching Game of Thrones, we're very okay with just being like, all right, I'll be like, oh yeah, he's hot. He's like, oh yeah, and he'll be like, ah, she's hot, and I'm like, yeah, you got good taste, you know, like you got to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, Lena Headey, Cersei Lannister was hot with the long hair. The short hair, I wasn't digging it so much.
I wasn't big on the short hair either. I think short hair can be done really well.
Yeah, Amelia Clark can pull off short hair.
Yes, but
she can pull off being fucking bald. So
it has to do with the facial structure, I think. Though, like for myself, I wouldn't go with the short hair because I've got a very small head. Wouldn't work for me. But some people really make it work. Yeah.
So I'm watching Joel over on Netflix. I got to close this fucking window. Otherwise, you're going to have to bring me a glass of wine, Erica. I need a drink.
One thing that I was going to do before I go to bed is I saw, so in the debate that I was moderating tonight, it was on.
What did you think about that, by the way?
It was fine. Joshua is a very sweet person. I think that he's kind of shackled by his biblical interpretation. I think that if he weren't, he would be like, yeah, the Bible's interpretation of how men kind of have this role at the head of the household, regardless of the women, because you can't have a democracy with two people. I think he'd kind of be like, yeah, that's a little bit fucked if he wasn't, kind of shackled to that. I thought Godless Granny was dope. That was my first time meeting her. I thought she did an excellent job. I thought Josh did a pretty good job too. I think, again, though, when you're working from a religious ideology, you're kind of you've got your hands tied a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna do is, because Smokey and I have had nothing but good interaction, so I was about to pop over to his live stream and be like, Smokey, I heard you talking trash about feminists in the chat. You know I'm a feminist, my guy. Come on, and then watch him.
If you do go into a stream, when you get in there, say Shazam, brothers.
Shazam.
I just want to know what the fuck, dude. So Will Kincaid, he put up a thing. He did this on purpose because he didn't know how to get a hold of me, and he was trying to bait me into coming on one of his streams because he wanted to ask me some questions. So the title of it was Leo Filius is a fucking ninny, and then Midnight Sparkle informed me about it, and so I went there, and we actually had a really, really good interview. I like Will Kincaid, but see, Will Kincaid's a troll. He's a really good troll, but he knows when to not troll, and when he's not trolling, he's really good guy to have a conversation with.
I had a good talk with him.
There's the Deconverted Man. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's an atheist. Was in Smokey's stream raging on him. I was like, Will, you should go in and troll, and he did, and it played out beautifully.
Eric, I just remembered something. When I was on Praise's channel, one of the Christians there asked me if I truly believe that homosexuality is natural. So I said, I said, well, define natural.
Yeah.
Do you know what he answered? Male and female.
Okay.
Okay. Wait,
that's a little begging the question.
I can't with that, because the thing is homosexuality is an inherently social behavior, just like any kind of pairing is, and so you look to other social animals to see prevalence, I would suppose you would say, and it's everywhere, because it turns out animals are really horny and they have preferences, just like we do, because humans are also horny and have preferences. So, in any species where both of those things are present, which happens to be most mammals, you see gay stuff go down between males and males and females and females across the board.
Yes.
So I told him that if he defines it that way, then, and he said, well, it's what I would expect of animals. And I said, but animals are gay.
Animals.
Literally.
Wait. No. That's not what I said. I said, but animals are gay. He said, what, lions are gay? I said, yes, you have gay lions.
Yes.
What was his response to that? How about the
hyper stag? Yeah, they're gay as hell.
Yeah, so what did he tell me? Well, that proves the fallen creation. Oh, great. So it's either unnatural or unnatural or unnatural or unnatural. Great. So
okay. I'm gonna pop out of here because my fiance wants to watch Community before we go to bed. So I'm gonna do that.
I haven't gone to bed yet. It's 7:30 a.m. So I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
It's a really funny TV show on Netflix right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty old. Community. It's very Arrested Development. In humor.
Really?
Yeah, it's very similar.
Excellent.
So I'm a big fan. But we before I go, Leophilius, I messaged you on Twitter, so you have my info. Shoot me the time, whatever. Normally I'd write it in my planner, but I've had about 3 glasses of wine tonight, and I don't know where
and you can't find your planner.
Yeah, so
Erica, will you teach me to twit?
Yes, I will teach you to twit, because then you can reach me faster instead of emailing me, and then I find my email like a day later, and I'm like, oh shit, Speed was having a live stream last night. I didn't see it.
Before you go, I do want to let everybody know that I just about an hour and a half ago got the confirmation from the one and only Aaron Raw. Wednesday at 8 p.m. I will be on his channel talking about physics.
Oh, that's going to be really fun.
Oh, God, it is going to be fun.
Aaron is...
You're going to play with the big boys.
Aaron is a big, lovable sweetheart.
Yeah.
Did you see that we had him on yesterday, Erica?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
guys, I'm going to go. Love.
Yeah, I got it.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Manny.
Bye, Manny.
I'll see you tomorrow morning, Manny.
Ta, guys.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Actually, it won't be tomorrow morning for him, but it'll be something. Anyway, guys, let's go eat or something.
This has been a productive SNATA, I must say.
Yeah, it has.
Very.
I want to go watch Community. I love fucking Arrested
I want to
Development.
see what's going on Smokey's stream. I might pop in and just harass him for a little bit.
Oh my God! What? SFB mod.
What's that, Immutable?
We've talked way too much about semen today.
Yeah. Now I got to go eat. So
I did not sign up for this conversation.
Yeah. SFB mod is going nuts about white supremacy and Darwinism over on.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned to him that
he's like Cafe.
The people put in cages in the zoo, because that's something he'll like to mention.
What?
Yes. So back like when Herbert Spencer invented social Darwinism, there were people using evolution to try and put like black people in cages because they thought that black people were inferior, like in the race. Guess who was responsible for that? For the most part,
wasn't that a racist person?
Christians,
mostly Protestant churches.
Yep.
Yeah, and with a lot of this creationist talk I hear of de-evolution or devolving, or they talk about how genes are
genetic entropy.
Yeah, they're getting more corrupt or devolving. That just to me smacks as a back door into white supremacy, because sooner or later somebody's going to say whose genes have devolved the least, and I'll bet they're going to be saying white people.
Well, it should amuse you to know that. It's good to know that creationists have moved away from their old philosophy, which was that back in the 1950s and 60s, most creationists thought that the Genesis event only was referring to the creation of white people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
Joel,
what that means about other ethnicities of people.
do you know what Joel said on a stream a few nights ago? He said that Charles Darwin was responsible for slavery. And Charles Darwin published when? When did he publish the
1886?
1859, something like that?
Yeah.
Or was that when he was born?
He was born in 1809, for God's sake, and we had slavery prior to that,
So
I
50
think.
years later, he put out his first edition of Origin of Species?
It was like late in his life, wasn't it, when he created Origin?
That's
Or when
honestly
he-
like really stupid, because
Maybe
like,
Charles
the Dark
Darwin
Ages-
invented a time machine.
Yeah, exactly. But he's
the
got a
thing
whole
like
whole
that-
theory about Darwin is responsible for slavery and racism and everything.
That tells you that Joel hasn't read his own Bible, though, because the Bible describes
Slavery.
it describes slavery. It describes the Hebrews
but
waging
that was
war.
different. Those slaves absolutely wanted to be slaves. I mean, they loved it.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah,
wanted to be
yeah.
slaves after they were completely decimated and had nowhere to go and couldn't make it on their own. Yeah, they wanted to be slaves.
So he published the Origin in 1859. how in the hell was that responsible for slavery in the U.S., right?
Well, slavery in the
That's
United
when the
States
Civil
was
War
not
started
outlawed
about.
until 1865.
Yeah, the Civil War started about 1859, so Darwin was kind of late to the party.
When it started is still a little fuzzy. Most people put the official. Wait, hold on. I gotta Google it because they do it by the very first battle, and I can't remember
like
what
1863
of the civil. Yeah, it was like 1861 or 63. Battle of Fort Sumter. The Battle of Fort Sumter was 1861. So yes, my guess was correct. God damn, I'm just good sometimes.
I'm fuzzy again. But you know, we had to go back and we had to take that Civil War shit back and let them secede. You know, I mean, you guys can, like, you know, liberals north, let the Republicans have the South. They can go take it away. You'll have to move, Immutable.
I don't
Immutable
know.
gone.
Immutable,
Anyway, guys, let's end this.
ST, isn't he?
I don't know where he is. Okay, should we end the
I'm
live
right here.
stream? Let's end the live stream. You're in
Alrighty.
the wrong half of the country.
On the wrong
okay.
half of the country.
Anyway, say goodbye, everybody. Anybody have any last word they want to say to the stream?
Stan Amelia Clark.
Okay, we knew that was coming. But
Otangelo needs to learn some biochemistry and just shut the hell up.
Otangelo needs to fire up our relationship again. I'm just so upset over the loss of Otangelo.
He'll be back. He'll be back. He can't quit you, Speed.
I know he can't quit me. Okay, good night, guys. Ending now.
Hashtag John Maddox is a grifter.